Chapter 806. Leng Xing, is this okay? 3. You're really too useless, the 10th elder roared. Then he rushed to the side of Leng Ruox's grandfather, granddaughter, and wanted to attack himself. However, in the next second, the 10th elder fell straight to the ground. Old ancestor, the 10th elder, he's dead. An elder who was on good terms with the 10th elder hurriedly ran to the 10th elder's side and said in shock. As soon as that elder finished speaking, everyone in the hall immediately turned their gazes to Leng Ruoxue and the others, including 3rd elder, who had been pretending to sleep with his eyes closed. Damn it, what did you do to him? Leng Xing asked angrily. He had a feeling that Leng Ruoxue and the others must have done something. We didn't do anything. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful face was full of innocence. Then why did he die? Leng Xing asked through gritted teeth. I don't know. Did the 10th elder have a heart attack? Leng Ruoxue guessed. Nonsense. How can a cultivator have a heart attack? The fire in Leng Xing's heart surged, and his face was green and black, almost turning into a color palette. Big sister, looks like Leng Wanqiu and our brother-in-law's happy occasion won't happen. Alas. Her father is already dead. As a daughter, she can't still think of getting married. Leng Ruoxue gloated. That's not necessarily true. That woman has been thinking about other people's husbands for more than 20 years. Now that the opportunity is finally here, how can she give up? I think the 10th elder will probably die without any regrets. Leng Shuang sighed softly and said very sympathetically. She was so happy seeing the 10th elder die. What if her old ancestor dies too? Could it be that she still wants to marry? Leng Ruoxue probed. Yes, no one can stop her even if they die. Leng Shuang said with a naughty smile. She was in a very good mood now, hee. Big sister, I don't believe Leng Wanqiu will be so cold-blooded. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes rolled as she secretly glanced at Leng Xing. Sister, what should we do? You can't crack someone to verify it. Leng Shuang was in a dilemma, her beautiful face full of worry. Leng Xing, is that okay? Leng Ruoxue turned around and asked with a smile. Can what? Damn it, what do you want to do? Leng Xing was only angry. At first, he didn't understand what Leng Ruoxue meant, but later he reacted. I want to use you to verify if Leng Wanqiu is really so cold-blooded. Leng Ruoxue smiled evilly. She was a kind child and didn't like blood. However, sometimes she had to do it. Everyone present understood what Leng Ruoxue meant. She was planning to kill Leng Xing. How bold. She actually dared to kill the characters of the Leng family's old ancestor in the Leng family's territory. However, they had to admit that they admired Leng Ruoxue a little, but they also knew that it would probably be very difficult for Leng Ruoxue to walk out of the Leng family alive if she really killed Leng Xing. Hurry up and look for the grand elder. Something bad is going to happen, 3rd elder whispered to the 5th elder. He was afraid that Leng Ruoxue would suffer a loss. After all, Leng Xing was a mystic supremacy. I'm afraid it's too late. The 5th elder shook his head and sighed. He specially went to the grand elder's residence before coming, but he didn't find her. Nothing can happen to Leng Ruoxue, her grandfather and brother, 3rd elder said anxiously. Probably no one could help them now except for the grand elder. We don't know where the grand elder is. There's no use panicking, the 5th elder said with a slight headache. Just as the two of them were secretly anxious, the furious Leng Xing had already stood opposite Leng Ruoxue and family, and said very coldly with half-closed eyes, What an ignorant junior. Do you think I don't dare to kill you with the support of the grand elder? Leng Xing's killing intent was also completely aroused at this moment. He originally thought that Leng Ruoxue and the others still had value, so he decided to let them benefit the Leng family better. However, who knew that a junior actually wanted to kill him? This was really unbearable for him. Leng Ruoxue's words had obviously angered him, so he had already aroused killing intent. I don't need anyone to back me up, Leng Ruoxue said calmly. Then she signaled her grandfather and brother with her eyes. The two of them understood and the three of them left the meeting hall. Junior, don't even think about escaping. Leng Xing hurriedly chased after him when he saw this. However, when he went out, he found that the grandfather, granddaughter, and the other two were floating in the air, looking at him sideways. Moreover, the freak and Feng De were protecting them. Calm down, we don't intend to escape, but the meeting hall is too small for us to use, so let's change to a bigger place, Leng Ruoxue comforted. You? Leng Xing's gaze searched the bodies of the demon and the others with uncertainty. He couldn't understand. Didn't he already send people to watch them? Why were they still here? I'm sorry, the subordinates you sent were easy to best. They're all dead. The freak smiled evilly and explained. Not long after Shuang and the others left, a group of guards barged in and imprisoned their operation. However, Feng De and the others were itchy and accidentally dealt with the guards. Then they swaggered to the meeting hall. The Leng family members who met them along the way ran away like rats meeting a cat. How dare you kill the Leng family's guards? Leng Xing roared with a red face and neck. Are those people from the Leng family? Why do I seem to see the Sun family's emblem? Could it be that the Leng family surrendered to the Sun family? Feng De said with a face full of question marks. That's impossible. Third elder, who ran out of the meeting hall, hurriedly roared. Boo! These words couldn't be said carelessly. Leng Xing should know better whether it's true or not. I heard that you're even planning to marry my woman to the Sun family? The freak narrowed his eyes, killing intent flashing in them. She's from the Leng family. Her marriage naturally has to be arranged by the Leng family. My Leng family won't admit you at all, Leng Xing said proudly, even though he had already decided to get rid of Leng Ruoxue, this disobedient descendant. Is that so? If I remember correctly, Shuang doesn't seem to be from the Leng family. It doesn't matter even if she is. Can't I just kill everyone who doesn't acknowledge me? The freak said nonchalantly. Then he turned to Shuang and said, Shuang, leave this to me. Chapter 807. Leng Xing, is this okay? 4. Oh, Leng Xing, bring your lackeys out for a walk. I'll save me some trouble, Leng Ruoxue said impatiently. Leng Ruoxue, you're courting death. I originally wanted to give you 3 a way out. Leng Xing roared at the void after speaking. Swish, swish, swish. Several figures appeared in the air and stood side by side with Leng Xing as the roar fell. Leng Xing, is there a need for us to take action against a few juniors? A man in black said unhappily. You're mistaken. It's enough for me to deal with these juniors alone. I want you here to deal with the Grand Elder, Leng Xing said honestly. He had made many preparations for Leng Ruoxue and the others, and the current one was his most powerful trump card. Moreover, he absolutely had to plant it with 1 strike. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have a chance next time. Where is the Grand Elder? The black-clothed man said with hatred. The Grand Elder will naturally arrive after I kill these juniors, Leng Xing said with abnormal confidence. He knew that his father couldn't stop the Grand Elder. However, as long as he could buy some time and let him kill Leng Ruoxue and the others, it would be enough. So you even want to kill the Grand Elder? Leng Ruoxue said in realization as if she had heard a joke. That old fart will only cause trouble for us. We've long wished for him to be dead, Leng Xing said fiercely. In fact, he had been bullied by the Grand Elder a lot. However, he couldn't beat the Grand Elder, so he could only stab him in the back. This time, he was also afraid that the Grand Elder would disturb his affairs. Therefore, he got his father to invite the Grand Elder to drink tea and chat. Originally, he only hoped to force Leng Ruoxue to agree to his request. However, he didn't expect that not only was she unwilling, she even wanted to kill him. He also had the intention to kill. Therefore, both sides were about to erupt at any moment. At this moment, he was most afraid that the Grand Elder would suddenly appear. Therefore, he had to kill Leng Ruoxue and the others before that old thing arrived. Of course, it would be perfect if he could get rid of the Grand Elder along the way. He had already thought of the excuse to kill the Grand Elder, Alas! Poor Grand Elder. He worked like a slave for the Leng family. In the end, he would actually died in the hands of the Leng family, Leng Ruoxue said with infinite sympathy. However, she was so happy in her heart. Kill. It was best if you killed the cheap sake old ancestor too. This way, the Leng family wouldn't have poor relatives like them. As a member of the Leng family, it's only right for him to work hard for the Leng family. It's also his honor to die for the Leng family, so the Grand Elder has nothing to complain about at all, Leng Xing said very self-righteously. Oh. In that case, you should be honored too, Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Then she gave the freak and the others a look and released her beasts. However, considering that she didn't want to expose too much strength at once, only Feng Wu, Feng Miao, and Feng Zhan were released by her in the Phoenix clan and the Dragon clan. After the beasts came out, all the silver wolves returned to their original form according to the strategy they had discussed beforehand and surrounded Leng Xing and the others. They looked at Leng Xing as if he was a dead man, contempt flashing in their eyes at the same time. Charm and the others still maintained their transmogrification so that they could confuse the enemy and hide their strength. Leng Xing and the Leng family were dumbfounded as they looked at the beasts that suddenly appeared. Oh God! Why were there so many beasts suddenly? There were beasts in the sky and on the ground. Now they were all surrounded. Some carnivores even bared their teeth and glared at them, making their hearts thump. Third Elder, am I seeing things? Could these be the beasts of Leng Ruoxue and the others? The fifth Elder in the crowd rubbed his eyes, his face full of disbelief. Heavens! Every beast here was a transcendent divine beast. This was the first time he had seen so many transcendent divine beasts gathered together. Yes, looks like we all underestimated Leng Ruoxue. Alas! With just these beasts, they don't need to rely on our Leng family, Third Elder said with emotion. Boo! These were all super divine beasts. Every single one of them was. It was really too enviable. The few little red birds flying among the beasts were a little strange. They looked like miniature phoenixes. Third Elder and Fifth Elder whispered to each other, but Leng Xing asked bluntly, Leng Ruoxue, where did these beasts come from? Can't you tell? Of course they're my contract beasts. Leng Ruoxue smiled as if she was saying, the weather is so good today. No. This is impossible. How can you contract so many beasts? Leng Xing didn't believe Leng Ruoxue's words at all. Moreover, even if Leng Ruoxue told him that these beasts belonged to all of them, he wouldn't believe her because there were at least 1,000 silver wolves in front of him. Why not? You're really too ignorant. Moreover, to tell you the truth, I have a good character, so these beasts contract on their own accord. A gorgeous smile hung on Leng Ruoxue's beautiful face, but the words she said were infuriating. Damn, what did he mean by taking the initiative to contract? Why couldn't they meet a beast that came knocking on their door? It was really infuriating to compare oneself to others. The Leng family couldn't help but grumble in their hearts. Ever since the internal competition of the three major families, they had been a little afraid of Leng Ruoxue. However, now they knew that that was because she had been too low-key. And after seeing this situation, the elders who expressed their support for Leng Xing were a little shaken. However, since they had already made a choice, they had to be responsible for their own actions because Leng Ruoxue would not give them another chance to plot against them. Therefore, their tragedy had been decided long after they chose Leng Xing. Leng Ruoxue, don't be too smug. These beasts might be transcendent divine beasts, but they are not level 9 after all. Are we afraid that we can't deal with them with so many mystic supremacies? Leng Xing pretended to be indifferent in his anger. Chapter 808, The Tortured Leng Xing, 1. You want a level 9 beast? Leng Ruoxue looked at Leng Xing and asked lightly. I might be afraid if you brought out the same number of beasts if they are all level 9 transcendent divine beasts, but do you think I care if you bring out these low-level beasts? Leng Xing said stubbornly. Is that so? Leng Xing, didn't your father tell you that you will regret underestimating your enemy? Leng Ruoxue laughed mockingly. Hee, looking down on the combat strength of his beast will make him regret it for life. In telling the truth, Leng Xing said arrogantly. Cute master, in being looked down upon. Boo-hoo, baby's eyes were filled with tears as it said pitifully. Then it glared at Leng Xing and said fiercely, Leng, I want to destroy you on behalf of master. Darling gave Dazzle and the other little beasts a look immediately after it finished speaking. In an instant, a few small transmogrification beasts quickly rushed towards Leng Xing. Damn it, stay away from me. Leng Xing, who was entangled by a few little beasts, roared furiously in everyone's ears. However, the little beasts jumping left and right on his body were as slippery as a loach, and he couldn't catch them at all. Not only that, in less than a moment, his body was already covered in wounds, and his clothes had become tattered cloths that hung unsteadily on his body, threatening to go naked at any time. The Leng family looked at Leng Xing with sympathy, but no one had the intention to go forward to help. It wasn't that they didn't want to, but they didn't dare. After all, they didn't want to be tortured badly by those little beasts like what they did to Leng Xing. Who asked you to look down on us? Who asked you to look down on us? Darling and the other beasts muttered while scratching. Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but have a black line across her forehead when she saw the indignant expressions of her children. Her beasts really wanted to capture and scratch to the end. However, it had been a long time since she saw her children do this, and she actually felt a little intimate. Her beasts were really too cute. Schwer, they snatched my opponent. I can't wait any longer. Otherwise, this thing will die soon, the freak said anxiously. Although the strength of the treasures was not high, he was very clear about the abilities of these little beasts. A mystic supremacy could be tortured to death by them if they were united. Therefore he had to attack. Thinking of this, the freak transformed into a stream of light and rushed into the circle of the beasts. His target was Leng Xing. Leng Xing was badly battered by the few little beasts, so he was not prepared at all. His face was punched by the freak, and blood flowed down his face in the blink of an eye. Damn, who ambushed me? Leng Xing did not see the person in front of him clearly because his eyes were blurred by blood, but he immediately roared. Your ancestor, you unfilial grandson, hurry up and kowtow to your ancestor. After the freak finished speaking, he kicked Leng Xing's butt, and Leng Xing knelt straight on the ground. I won't let you go. Leng Xing, who was kicked to the ground, was extremely depressed. He was about to stand up, but he realized that he couldn't move his body. Damn it, what was going on? Well, seeing that you're so obedient, I'll let you die a better death. The freak was also very kind. With that, he directly waved his fist and hit Leng Xing's abdomen, making Leng Xing cry out in pain. In order to show his kindness and strength, he decided not to let Leng Xing die too quickly. He didn't want the Leng family to have another Leng Xing humph. He was really tired of living for daring to let his woman marry someone else. Leng Xing could only move his mouth. He had no power to retaliate under the freak's heavy fist. The blood on his body had already stained the tattered cloth on his body. Unfortunately, it's not dragon blood. Leng Ruoxue couldn't help sighing as she looked at the blood flowing out of Leng Xing. At the same time, her beautiful eyes were observing the actions of the other Leng family members. Damn it, why aren't you attacking? Leng Xing, who was about to faint from the pain, used all his strength and roared. The black-clothed man not far away hesitated when he heard Leng Xing's words, but he still waved his hand like a companion, indicating for them to help. After all, it would not be beneficial to him if Leng Xing was beaten to death. However, he was a little afraid of the existence of these beasts. Even though he also had beasts, they were really not enough in front of so many beasts. Unfortunately, they were in the same boat as Leng Xing now, so it was probably impossible for him to stay outside the world. After sensing the abnormality of Leng Xing's lackeys, Leng Ruoxue also gave Feng De and the others a look. Feng De and the others understood. However, the opponents in front of them were obviously not enough, so in order to obtain the qualifications to fight, they actually started guessing punches. This scene made the Leng family present want to curse. Cheng Wu and the others, who had won the guessing game, each found an opponent and rushed to the center of the battlefield excitedly. The others looked at them enviously. You guys actually didn't leave one for me? Leng Ruoxue said speechlessly. Boo-hoo, why did these people forget about her existence as a young miss the moment they heard about fighting? She also wanted to practice. Miss, there are still some elders over there. Can we beat them up? Lu Tao said with eyes full of desire. Sure. I forgot about them. Leng Ruoxue smiled evilly and then came to an elder. What do you want? The elder's heart kept trembling when he saw Leng Ruoxue. His body was trembling like a fallen leaf in the wind. The people who wanted to spar with you were all occupied by my subordinates, so I had to aggrievedly look for you elders, Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. Alas! These elders' strength was obviously inferior to the people who appeared later. However, they could be used. Don't wrong yourself. Go find someone else to spar with. That elder had a long face, his heart full of regret. Boo! This was the retribution for him taking the wrong side. How did it come so quickly? However, he felt that this couldn't be blamed on him. After all, no one knew that Leng Ruoxue actually had so many beasts. Furthermore, every one of them was a transcendent divine beast. This was a considerable force in the vast heaven continent. If they had known earlier, they would definitely treat Leng Ruoxue differently. Chapter 809. The Tortured Leng Xing, 2. I like you. How many elders are you? Leng Ruoxue was very loyal and wouldn't change people easily. Boo! I'm number 19. My strength is too low. The 19th elder had tears in his eyes and looked extremely aggrieved. You're also a mystic supremacy, what's there to be humble about? After Leng Ruoxue finished speaking, she grabbed his collar like she was picking up a chicken and dragged him into the battle circle slightly roughly. Then, a fiery red mystic energy directly attacked the 19th elder's face. Ah! The 19th elder jumped up in shock and dodged the mystic energy attack. However, he still had lingering fears and was afraid before the battle. 19th elder, I'll let you go if you can beat me. Leng Ruoxue looked at the 19th elder's hiding appearance and said resentfully. Really? Then none of us are allowed to use beasts. The 19th elder was overjoyed, but he didn't show it on his face. Moreover, he took the opportunity to propose his conditions. What a joke! No one would be able to withstand it if those beasts attacked together. No problem, but if you lose, you can only die. Leng Ruoxue continued. I'll definitely win, the 19th elder suddenly said with an imposing manner. Boo! If he couldn't even beat a great mystic, then he wouldn't have to survive in the vast heaven continent. However, after the real fight, the 19th elder realized how terrifying Leng Ruoxue was. It was too late for him to regret it. However, he couldn't help cursing in his heart. Damn it! This was too much of a bully. He was obviously not a great mystic, but he actually used the excuse of a great mystic to deceive them, causing them to miscalculate the strength of Leng Ruoxue and the others. This was really too despicable. He couldn't help crying and regretting until his intestines turned green. 19th elder, you're not paying attention. Leng Ruoxue looked at the 19th elder's thoughtful expression and calmly accused him. However, the light blue mystic energy in her hand kept attacking the 19th elder. Leng Ruoxue, what exactly is your strength? The 19th elder said angrily. He knew that Leng Ruoxue's strength was definitely not that of a great mystic, but because Leng Ruoxue had never really used a mystic technique and only kept teasing him with terrifying mystic energy, he really couldn't tell Leng Ruoxue's level for a moment. Just a mystic sovereign. Leng Ruoxue smiled indifferently. The mystic sovereign is just returning it. The 19th elder almost fainted before he could catch his breath. However, he quickly composed himself. After that, he looked at Leng Ruoxue with a strange expression and sighed with emotion in his heart. Alas! Unfortunately, such an extraordinary person couldn't be used by the clan, and he couldn't be killed. I presume some old antiques in the clan will definitely have a headache if they know. 19th elder, I was just teasing you just now, but now I'm going to really attack. After Leng Ruoxue finished speaking, the majestic water attribute profound energy quickly gathered in her hand. Shortly after, tens of thousands of raindrops surged towards 19th elder from all directions. Leng Ruoxue also named this mystic technique meteor rain. However, this was naturally a modified meteor shower after her modification. Moreover, The meteor shower she used on the 19th Elder was absolutely much stronger than the one she used on Leng Rume. The unlucky 19th Elder kept dodging left and right after seeing the raindrops. However, many raindrops still hit him and passed through his body. In an instant, the 19th Elder fell to the ground, dead. Leng Ruoxue released another small flame and threw it at the 19th Elder to destroy the evidence. Not far away, the Leng family members who were not affected by the battle couldn't help but tremble when they saw Leng Ruoxue's skilled technique. Bean-sized sweat dripped down their foreheads non-stop. Boo! This woman was really too terrifying. How could her movements be so natural and smooth? The elders who had been dragged into the battle by Lu Tao and the others saw the condition of the 19th Elder from the corner of their eyes and their hearts trembled. Boo! They were so afraid that the 19th Elder's outcome would be theirs because they were closer to Leng Xing and the others. After Leng Ruoxue dealt with her opponents, she raised her beautiful eyes to size up every move on the battlefield. At this moment, her grandfather, brother, and the others were excitedly fighting with their opponents. Her own beasts would launch sneak attacks from time to time, and all sorts of mystic energy danced dazzlingly like ribbons in the entire Leng family's main residence and in the air. "Freak, don't kill him," Leng Ruoxue said hurriedly when she saw the dying Leng Xing. "Why?" The freak looked up at Shuang with a face full of question marks. Could it be that Shuang's heart softened? "I haven't beaten him up yet. How can he die?" Leng Ruoxue said with a naughty smile. Baby and the other beastmen jumped into her arms and nodded their heads in agreement. But he only has one breath left," the freak said in frustration. "Boo! It was all his fault for being too heavy-handed. It's okay. I have pills. As long as he's still breathing, he won't die," Leng Ruoxue promised. Then, she took out a jade bottle from her bracelet and poured out a pure white pill from it, handing it to the demon. "Shuang, isn't it a waste to give him this medicine?" The freak was a little reluctant. "This medicine improves quickly." "It's okay, as long as we beat him up to our heart's content," Leng Ruoxue said nonchalantly. "Okay." The freak pried Leng Xing's mouth open and threw the pill in. Sure enough, the injuries on Leng Xing's body healed in the blink of an eye. "Shuang, beat him up slowly," the freak said, and then released the restraints on Leng Xing. Leng Xing, who was in a daze, felt that the injuries on his body had all healed and his body could move again. He got up from the ground with a whoosh and was about to flare up when he was hit by a fire attribute mystic energy. Immediately, a charred smell came from his body. "Damn it, Leng Ruoxue! What kind of ability is your sneak attack?" Leng Xing looked at Leng Ruoxue, whose face was full of provocation, and he was so angry. The scene of being beaten up by that barbaric man was still vivid in his mind, making him unable to forget it even if he wanted to. Now, he absolutely hated these two people to the bone. Chapter 8:10, The Tortured Leng Xing 3, You're capable of bullying the weak? Leng Ruoxue didn't want to argue with him. She only wanted to teach him a good lesson, so after attracting Leng Xing's attention, the mystic techniques in her hand didn't stop. Red, light blue, and cyan mystic techniques were used alternately, attacking Leng Xing non-stop. "Damn it, you pervert!" Leng Xing was very depressed. He could only defend non-stop and had no chance to retaliate at all. Moreover, the few beasts that were eyeing him covetously would ambush him for no reason. Therefore, not only did he have to defend against Leng Ruoxue's attack, but he also had to divert his attention to stare at the few annoying little beasts. "Leng Xing, today I'll let you taste the power of my meteor sword technique." Leng Ruoxue thought for a moment, and a sword with a cold light appeared in her hand. Leng Xing recognized this sword, but with his experience, he only treated it as a holy artifact. However, the power of this holy artifact was not small, and he had a deep understanding of it. Therefore, he immediately raised his guard. Leng Ruoxue raised Han Ying high above her head and gently rotated her wrist. Tens of thousands of sword beams shone on everyone's bodies, causing a chill to rise in the bottom of their hearts. Immediately after, she officially activated her sword technique and injected water attribute mystic energy into it. The meteor sword cooperated with the meteor shower and attacked Leng Xing from all directions. Leng Xing immediately strengthened his defense seeing this. However, he still underestimated the sharpness of the sword beam. With a crisp bang, the sword beam tore through his defense shield and hit him directly. Tens of thousands of raindrops passed through his body, and he directly vomited a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. However, his face was filled with disbelief. No, this is impossible. Leng Xing, who was bleeding nonstop and only had a breath left, was unwilling to believe this fact. He was a mystic supremacy. He was a mystic supremacy. How could he lose to a little girl? He had never even attacked except for his defense. Boo! How was this possible? This was too big a blow to him. However, the bigger blow was still coming. Miss, is he dead? Fengde, who had already dealt with his opponent, ran to Leng Ruoxu's side and asked worriedly. He's still breathing. Leng Ruoxu looked at Leng Xing and said lightly. She deliberately controlled her strength, so Leng Xing was still alive. Miss, give me a pill. I want to cure him, Fengde said expectantly. Okay. Leng Ruoxu didn't hesitate and took out the bottle containing the pills and handed it to Fengde. Hee. Fengde laughed evilly. Then he also threw a pill into Leng Xing's mouth in the same way. Leng Xing's injuries healed as good as new in a moment. However, the blow Leng Xing received previously was obviously a little big, so he didn't react for a while. By the time he came back to his senses, Fengde's mystic technique had already hit him. Leng Xing was furious seeing this. Damn, why did he become a soft persimmon? Everyone actually wanted to step on him. However, he was stunned by Fengde before he could show his might. Immediately after, Leng Ruhan and the others mimicked Leng Ruoxu and Fengde and fed him a pill before Leng Xing stopped breathing. Then they used him to practice. In the beginning, Leng Xing was still very strong, but gradually he became numb. He didn't know how to fight back and just kept shouting, "Hurry up and kill me." The double blow to his heart and body caused Leng Xing to collapse completely. The Leng family members who were still alive were terrified when they saw Leng Xing's miserable state. At this moment, their fear for Leng Ruoxu and the others had already seeped into their bones. Moreover, some of the timid ones couldn't stand on their weak legs. Boo! These people were really too ruthless. How could they torture others like this? Poor Leng Xing. Their sympathy for him was like the endless river water. However, at this moment, no one dared to speak for Leng Xing because Leng Xing's helpers were all dead. Mistress, this can't go on. The third elder walked to Leng Shuang's side, who was also dumbfounded, and said softly, Boo! Even though he didn't like Leng Xing, he felt some sympathy for Leng Xing at this moment. He also hoped that Mistress could say something to let Leng Ruoxu and the others give Leng Xing a quick death. After all, everyone except Leng Xing who was in the same pants as him was dead. Third elder, I can't do anything about this, Leng Shuang said helplessly. Boo! She didn't know where her father-in-law was hiding. She should disappear too. With that, she slipped away in front of third elder. She had other things to do. Third elder, we can't meddle in this matter. Let's go too. Otherwise, someone might make things difficult for us, the fifth elder said understandingly. Alas! Who asked them to watch with folded arms? However, this matter was really not something they could meddle in. They wanted to, but they were powerless. All right. Third elder was helpless and had to secretly leave the crowd with the fifth elder. The other members of the Leng family, who had good taste, slipped away when they saw this. Leng Xing, poor fellow, your clansmen have abandoned you. Leng Ruoxu saw from the corner of her eye that most of the Leng family members who were not affected had left, so she looked at Leng Xing, who was pretending to be dead on the ground, with some sympathy. Miss, his minions are all dead. It's not good for us to keep him for too long. Why don't we send him on his way now? Otherwise, he won't be able to catch up to his companions, Qing Wu suggested very kindly. Okay, do it. Leng Ruoxu nodded. Okay. Cheng Wu was interrupted by a roar just as he raised his hand. Who dares to kill my son? Hand over your life. Before the person could say anything, A fiery red mystic energy directly pounced at Cheng Wu. Cheng Wu narrowed his eyes. When the fiery red streak was about to reach him, he waved his hand gently and cancelled that attack. Then he used another wind blade and directly killed Leng Xing. "I want to kill you." Seeing his son die in front of him, a middle-aged man attacked Cheng Wu crazily, and Cheng Wu calmly fought with him. "Leng Yan, your line likes to bully the young." Suddenly, a slightly mocking voice sounded in everyone's ears. Immediately after, a fiery red figure appeared in front of everyone. Leng Chenye's handsome face had a beautiful smile and he kept blinking at Leng Ruoxue and the others. Chapter 811. The Ruthless Leng Shuang. 1. Damn it, you still have the face to say that my son would have died if you didn't pester me? Leng Yan roared back angrily. He wanted to chop Leng Chenye into pieces at the thought of this. "Leng Yan, how can you wrong me? You were the one who wanted to drag me to drink tea and chat. I wanted to come back, but you refused to let him go. Now you're blaming me. Boo. Your family is really too good at distorting the truth." Leng Chenye's handsome face was full of grievance, and tears kept flashing in his eyes. "You still have the face to say that you clearly know that something has happened to the family, but you actually pestered me and didn't let go." Leng Yan roared while being wary of Cheng Wu. "I'm innocent. That place is full of your people. How would I know that something happened to the family?" Leng Chenye played dumb until the end, the expression on his face as aggrieved as it could be. "Okay, even if you don't know, why are you stopping me now?" Leng Yan thought that Leng Chenye was here to stop him, so the anger in his heart surged. "I didn't stop you. I just felt that it was a little embarrassing for you to bully the younger generation," Leng Chenye said with a smile. In fact, he was mainly thinking whether Leng Yan's father would be angered to death if he came. This family was very protective people, and looking at this, Leng Yan's life would probably be lost here. Alas. How pitiful. They killed my son. I don't care if they're juniors. In short, they're dead meat, Leng Yanhua roared, his heart full of hatred. He only had this one son. "Old fart, you have to have the ability to kill us." Fengde, who was watching the commotion by the side, said nonchalantly. Many people from the Leng family wanted to kill them, but they all died in their hands in the end. "All of you deserve to die." Leng Yan was very angry, but he was entangled by Cheng Wu to the point that he couldn't do anything at all. At this moment, the two of them had already fought for more than 100 rounds, and the outcome of the battle couldn't be determined at all. So, he became more and more uneasy in his heart. One had to know that he had advanced to mystic supremacy for many years, and no ordinary mystic supremacy could compare to him in terms of experience and profound strength. However, he actually couldn't even take down a junior. How could he survive in the Leng family in the future if news of this got out? "You deserve to die even more," Cheng Wu said unhurriedly. Then he threw a pill to recover his mystic energy into his mouth. Did this old thing think that he had a lot of mystic energy? It wouldn't tire him to death. Damn it, how can you eat pills? Leng Yan was furious. Wasn't this cheating? It was really too despicable. We're fighting a life and death battle. Either or us will die. Could it be that you won't allow me to eat medicinal pills? You can also eat some if you want, Cheng Wu said with some amusement and suggested very kindly. "You," Leng Yan's face turned red, and the anger in his heart rose another level. He couldn't help cursing. Damn, he was really too much of a bully. If he had it, would he not eat it? There were a few alchemists supported by the Leng family, but the medicinal herbs refined pills that recovered mystic energy were very expensive. Therefore, it was impossible for a super family like theirs to refine too many, much less eat them like him in battle. This was really too wasteful. "Big brother Cheng, let me play." Song Di, who was watching the commotion by the side, said with itching hands. This old thing seemed to be quite strong. "Okay," Cheng Wu replied. Then he gave the battlefield to Song Di and retreated to the side to watch the battle. Leng Yan was furious when he left. Damn, was this a tag team battle? Ha! Old thing, you have to take care of yourself. We still have a lot of people. Song Di reminded with a naughty smile. Damn it, cut the crap. Leng Yan was angry. The consequences were very serious. You'll suffer a loss in front of you if you don't listen to me. Song Di was very aggrieved. He had only kindly reminded him. How did he anger this old thing? Boo! Song Di fought Leng Yan for nearly 100 rounds on the field before changing again. Moreover, Leng Ruoxu's side was very self-aware. Each person went forward and fought for more than 100 rounds before giving up their position. In this way, they even saved using so many medicinal pills. Poor Leng Yan was already panting from exhaustion. Shuang, you're ruthless. Leng Qianye, who had been watching the commotion, came to Leng Ruoxu's side and gloated. Alas! There are too many subordinates, and there are usually no good opponents, so I can only wrong this certain person from the Leng family, Leng Ruoxu said very innocently. Shuang, if each of you were to fight another round, he would probably be exhausted to death. Leng Qianye reminded. He had lived for so long, but this was the first time he had seen a mystic supremacy die of exhaustion in battle. Shuang had broadened his horizons. Another round? I'm afraid he won't be able to last that long. However, what I want to say is that your Leng family is too lousy. A mighty mystic supremacy actually didn't even prepare medicinal pills to recover mystic energy. Leng Ruoxu accused. Little Shuang, the materials for pills to recover mystic energy are very precious. There are so many people in the Leng family, how can we afford them? Leng Qianye said aggrievedly with a bitter face. Boo! It was not good to have too many people in a family. There were not enough resources. The Leng family has been passed down for tens of thousands of years. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? Leng Ruoxu obviously didn't believe him. Shuang, little girl. Leng Qianye still wanted to explain, but he realized that Qing Wu, who had gone on stage again, had already dealt with Leng Yan. Not only that, but he was instantly destroyed by a little red bird. He should still pretend not to see it. However, Leng Feng, that old thing, would probably come soon after Leng Yan died. Master, the battlefield has been cleaned up. I guarantee that there won't be any traces left behind. We can leave now. Feng Zhan jumped onto Leng Ruoxu's shoulder and said ingratiatingly, Good girl. Leng Ruoxu patted Feng Zhan's little head and praised. Oh, Shuang, does this little bird often do such things? Leng Qianye's forehead dripped with several black lines as he said in surprise. Isn't that normal? Leng Ruoxu said nonchalantly. Ah. Leng Qianye didn't know what to say. These people were really ruthless. They didn't even leave their corpses behind. It seemed that he was still very kind compared to them. Chapter 8:12. The Ruthless Leng Shuang too. Damn it! Who killed my son and grandson? Suddenly, a roar entered the ears of everyone that was about to leave. After hearing this voice, Leng Ruoxu couldn't help asking Leng Qianye with her eyes, was there anyone else above them? Leng Qianye shook his head, indicating that there was nothing else. An old man had already appeared in front of them just as they were exchanging glances. You killed my son and grandson? Leng Feng's slightly turbid eyes shot out a light of hatred. However, his pupils kept contracting when he saw Leng Qianye not far away. Who are your son and grandson? We don't have outsiders here. Leng Ruoxu's face was not red as she lied without batting an eyelid. That's right. Old man, if you want to find a son and grandson, don't malign others. Feng De and the others hurriedly echoed. Leng Feng was so angry that he was about to explode. He composed himself and then questioned, Is the little girl Leng Ruoxu? He knew his grandson's plan. Now that his grandson and son were dead, the little girl in front of him was alive and well. Therefore, he believed Leng Ruoxu was the murderer without thinking. I am. Leng Ruoxu didn't deny it. Lass, hand over your life. Leng Feng attacked Leng Ruoxu without a word. However, how could Leng Qianye let him do as he wished? Leng Qianye raised his hand gently, and Leng Feng's attack was resolved. Leng Qianye, could it be that you want to shield her? Leng Feng roared furiously, his fire-breathing eyes glaring at Leng Qianye tightly. He was still afraid of Leng Qianye. However, He had worked in the Leng family for many years and finally had the power today. However, it was destroyed by a little girl now. How could he bear this? Leng Feng, do you know why all the elders of your line died? It's because you're too narrow-minded and can't tolerate others, so I advise you to do your best. Leng Qinya didn't answer the question because he knew that this old thing wouldn't listen to advice. However, he had to pretend. After all, if he even killed the other three, he was afraid that someone from his eldest grandfather's line would take the opportunity to make things difficult for him. My children and grandchildren are all dead. What's the use of telling me this now? In short, I must kill Leng Ruoxue and the others and use them to mourn the souls of my children and grandchildren in heaven, Leng Feng said with hatred. Old man, you have to have the ability to kill us even if you want to. Otherwise, you will probably be like your son and grandson. Leng Ruoxue deliberately provoked. Since this old man knew her name, then he should have participated in Leng Xing's plan, so it was probably useless for her to pretend. What a sharp-tongued little girl. Don't think that you can live today with Leng Qinya protecting you. You're dead meat. He went all out for the sake of avenging his son and granddaughter. I don't need him to protect me. Instead, it's you. Why don't I give you some time? Go get some helpers. Leng Ruoxue reminded kindly. Alas! Leng Qinya was half happy and half worried when he heard Leng Ruoxue's words. He was happy to have such a powerful descendant, but he was worried that he didn't have a chance to perform. Ooh! Why couldn't his descendant be like other people's children? Why did he have to find the ancestors to support him? This little girl really didn't give him a sense of accomplishment. Thinking of this, he felt extremely depressed. Lass, be stubborn. After Leng Feng finished speaking, he consecutively released a few streaks of mystic energy. 2 of them attacked Leng Qinya, and the rest went straight for Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue looked at Leng Feng with slight mockery. Then, she gently rotated her wrist. Han Ying's sword light easily shattered Leng Feng's mystic energy, and then the sharp sword light flew in Leng Feng's direction. Leng Feng looked at the threatening cold sword beam and was extremely frightened in his heart. How was this possible? This was a mystic supremacy's mystic energy. How could it be shattered so easily? The sword. Leng Feng had the intention to snatch the sword in Leng Ruoxue's hand. This sword was so sharp, it was a pity to give it to a girl. As the saying goes, a treasured sword deserves a hero, so he felt that only he was worthy of having such a sword. However, Leng Ruoxue still didn't know that someone had designs on her sword. Otherwise, she would have cut him into pieces long ago, and she wouldn't have the intention to tease him. At this moment, Qing Wu and the others had already surrounded Leng Feng and were staring at him like he was their prey. Leng Feng, your grandfather and granddaughter are really getting worse and worse. They even want to kill me. Leng Qinya easily neutralized Leng Feng's attack and said with a light smile. Now, if eldest granduncle had any ideas, he would have a reason. It was great. He couldn't wait for Leng Feng to attack him directly. Do you think I don't know that you're on the same side? Leng Ruoxue killed my son and grandson because you're backing her up. How would she dare to otherwise? Leng Feng roared angrily. Old man, I find that your grandfather and granddaughter are quite self-righteous. If Leng Xing wants to plot against me, can I still let him plot against me? Since he dares to plot against me, how can he not pay a price? Moreover, I'll say it one last time. I don't need the Grand Elder to support me. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. Alas, why couldn't the Leng family understand human language? How annoying. Lass, in that case, it's only right for me to kill you to avenge my children and grandchildren. Leng Feng said with a cold smile. Of course, but the premise is that you have to kill me. Leng Ruoxue said nonchalantly, not taking Leng Feng's threats seriously at all. Lass, take this. Leng Feng launched another attack after hearing Leng Ruoxue's words. Okay, be careful. Leng Ruoxue reminded. At this moment, Han Ying's sword light had already approached Leng Feng and cut open Leng Feng's defense with unstoppable force, hitting him directly. Immediately after, Leng Feng spat out a mouthful of blood. Leng Ruoxue was very satisfied when she saw that Leng Feng didn't collapse like Leng Xing and only spat out a mouthful of blood. As expected of a grandfather, he was just better at enduring beatings than a grandson. Seeing this, she directly injected water attribute mystic energy into her sword, and then tens of thousands of sword beams scattered out with the meteor shower. Chapter 8:13. The Ruthless Leng Shuang. 3. Swish. 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 The raindrops that carried sword lights easily penetrated Leng Feng's body. This time, Leng Feng was unable to endure it, and the profound technique that was accumulating strength in his hand was unable to be released in the end, causing him to fall to the ground and die. Feng Zhan spat out a flame after Leng Feng fell. Swear, your subordinates and beasts are all trained well. Leng Qinye said speechlessly. This little bird was a little too fast. It's okay. Grand Elder, will anyone else come later? Leng Ruoxue asked uncertainly. Now that her grandfather had come out, who knew what would happen next time? Not for now. The ones closest to Leng Xing's bloodline have been killed by you. However, this matter is not small. I'm afraid someone will use it as an excuse to make a fuss, Leng Qinye said honestly. Oh, in that case, please clean up the door. Leng Ruoxue said with a naughty smile. There were too many disputes in big families, so she was not interested in their internal conflict. Swear, this matter started because of you. Aren't you going to bother with it? Leng Qinye pouted and said deliberately with some displeasure. Well, if I manage it to the end, I'm afraid there won't be many Leng family members left alive, Leng Ruoxue said honestly. Her principle was not to leave trouble for herself, so the Leng family members who were related to Leng Xing's grandfather and granddaughter probably wouldn't be able to escape this disaster. Therefore, she handed the subsequent matters to the Grand Elder to handle. As long as those people went up to her and no longer provoked her, she would still give the Leng family face and not kill them all. Alas! Swear, leave the rest to me. Leng Qinye sighed and said helplessly. Thank you, Grand Elder. I want to see Leng Rume and her daughter now. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Then she led everyone straight to Leng Rumai's residence. However, when she reached the door, she found Leng Shuang and Li Min in Leng Rumai's room. However, eavesdropping was not a good habit, so she pushed the door open and entered. In Leng Rumai's room. Sister, are you done with the matters over there? Leng Shuang asked with a happy smile after seeing Leng Ruoxue. She was in a good mood today. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Then, she pulled the freak to find a random place to sit down. The others didn't stand on ceremony and found a place to sit down. Who allowed you to come here? Get out. After seeing Leng Ruoxue and the others, Leng Wanqiu, who was sitting by the bed, revealed endless hatred in her eyes and said fiercely. Leng Wanqiu, it's not your turn to decide the Leng family now. Leng Shuang's beautiful face was cold as she warned in an unfriendly tone. Big sister, please forgive me for losing my composure. However, they were the ones who caused Meyer to be like this, so I couldn't control my emotions. Please forgive me, big sister. Leng Wanqiu held back the anger in her heart and said gently in a low voice. She would deal with Leng Shuang properly after she became the patriarch's wife, so she could only bear with it now. Don't call me big sister. I can't hold this honor. Also, by the way, don't even think about marrying Leng Yimin as long as I'm alive, Leng Shuang said domineeringly. Patriarch. Leng Wanqiu ignored Leng Shuang and looked at Leng Yimin with tears in her beautiful eyes. However, Leng Yimin turned his head and didn't look at Leng Wanqiu at all. Let me tell you too. I want Mary into the Sun family for your daughter. Your daughter isn't qualified to marry my brother either, Leng Ruoxue said timely. Leng Ruoxue, you harmed your own clansmen. Not only do you not know how to repent, you actually… Leng Wanqiu couldn't continue. Faint tears rolled down her eyes. Her tear-stained appearance was enough to make any man's heart soften. Unfortunately, no one present except Leng Yimin liked to treat women gently. Leng Yimin didn't dare to pay attention to other women with Leng Shuang around. Clansmen? You're not talking about Leng Rume, are you? Leng Ruoxue's face was full of curiosity. Rumei is the daughter of the patriarch and can be considered your master, but now she can only lie in bed forever because of you. Shouldn't you be ashamed? There will inevitably be injuries in the battle, so we can't let you pay with your life. We just want you to do something now and find someone to rely on for the rest of Rumei's life. Why aren't you willing? Leng Wanqiu questioned with tears in her eyes, her words even more like how much her daughter had been wronged. Leng Ruoxue was a little speechless after hearing Leng Wanqiu's words. What kind of logic was this? The patriarch's daughter was her master? What was she even thinking? She even wanted her to compensate him. Dream on. Could it be that making you Leng Yimin's wife is also a form of compensation for you and your daughter? Leng Shuang said with a spurious smile. Leng Wanqiu's words made her blush a little. She had seen shameless people, but she had really never seen someone so shameless. I raised a pair of children for the patriarch. Shouldn't the patriarch give me a title? Leng Wanqiu questioned softly. She was full of confidence now that she had the patriarch backing her up. Should I? Leng Wanqiu, we both know what happened back then. Do I have to say it? Leng Shuang questioned disapprovingly. I don't understand what matriarch means. Leng Wanqiu pretended to be stupid. Leng Wanqiu, didn't you plan everything back then? Leng Shuang chuckled and looked at Leng Wanqiu lightly. I don't know what the matriarch is talking about. Back then, it was clearly the patriarch who had a disorderly nature after drinking and bullied me. I was the victim, and for so many years, the patriarch didn't give me a title. I didn't say anything either, Leng Wanqiu said, seemingly aggrieved. Leng Wanqiu, do you know why you were able to live well for so many years and your children are treated like the eldest miss and young master? Leng Shuang said with a spurious smile. Then her beautiful eyes looked at Leng Yimin gently. Rumei and her brother are the children of the patriarch. Isn't it natural to have the treatment of the young miss and the young master? Moreover, the patriarch loves them very much, Leng Wanqiu said calmly. Ha! What a joke! A pair of illegitimate children of unknown origins enjoy the same treatment as the young master. Do you think I, the matriarch of the family, can tolerate it? Leng Shuang smiled maliciously as if she was looking at a dead person. She was even ruthless to her own man, let alone a cheap woman who missed another man. Chapter 8:14. The Ruthless Leng Shuang 4. What do you mean? Leng Wanqiu's heart trembled as she said uneasily. Do you think the clansmen will accept them without my permission? Accept a pair of bastards with unknown fathers? Leng Shuang smiled mockingly. They are the patriarch's children. You actually said that they are bastards. Patriarch, you have to uphold justice for Wanqiu. The matriarch is too much, Leng Wanqiu said aggrievedly. The patriarch's child? Leng Wanqiu, do you think everyone is a fool? In fact, Leng Yimin didn't touch you at all back then. Leng Shuang said this fact very cruelly. What? Don't spout nonsense. Leng Yimin and Leng Wanqiu's voices sounded at the same time. One was surprised and the other was guilty. I'm not spouting nonsense. The child's father told me this himself. Moreover, he said a few of your characteristics, Leng Shuang explained. Madam, is what you said true? Leng Yimin's face was full of disbelief. In fact, he felt a little guilty about these two women. However, he didn't love Leng Wanqiu, so he could only compensate the child. Even though he also wanted to give Leng Wanqiu a title, Leng Shuang refused, so he didn't force her. After all, he knew that he had already hurt his wife. Yes, father-in-law knows about this too, Leng Shuang said lightly. Madam, why didn't you tell me earlier if you knew that I didn't touch her? Why did you punish me? Leng Yimin was aggrieved. Because you're too soft-hearted. My father-in-law also said that he wanted to punish you. Otherwise, how can you bear the responsibility of being the head of the family in the future? Leng Shuang said honestly. For more than 20 years, she had been punishing Leng Yimin as well as herself. However, her husband's gentle character really needed to be tempered. I see. Madam, why did you encourage me to be close to them even though you know that those two children aren't mine? Leng Yimin was a little puzzled. Thinking about it now, this really didn't match Leng Shuang's character. Of course we have to put on a full show. Let them enjoy the treatment of the eldest miss and young master first. When it happens in the future, they will fall hard, Leng Shuang said with slight hatred. She had never been a kind person. How could she let go of someone who dared to plot against her and even let that person lead a peaceful life? Therefore, she held that pair of bastards high up. In the future, the extreme contrast would probably make them collapse. Madam, you even schemed against me. Leng Yimin smiled bitterly. However, he had no right to blame Leng Shuang because what happened back then was indeed because of him. Who asked you to like to be protective of the fairer sex? My man doesn't need to care about other women. How will you remember if I don't teach you a deep lesson? Leng Shuang was ruthless to others, but she was even more ruthless to herself. Otherwise, she wouldn't have drugged her husband. Madam, I already know my mistake. Leng Yimin was very depressed. Leng Wanqiu, do you have any last words to say now? Leng Shuang ignored the pitiful Leng Yimin and turned her gaze to Leng Wanqiu. Leng Shuang, you want to kill me? You can't kill me. My great-grandfather won't let you go if you kill me, Leng Wanqiu threatened, thinking of her backer. Are you talking about Leng Xing? Unfortunately, he can't care about you anymore. He's already dead, Leng Shuang gloated. Leng Ruoxue didn't acknowledge her sister for nothing and helped her so much. No. This is impossible. Great-grandfather is powerful, how can he die? Who killed him? Leng Wanqiu's face was full of disbelief. It could also be said that she could not accept this fact. It's me, Leng Ruoxue said lightly. Leng Ruoxue, how dare you? The Leng family won't let you go. Leng Wanqiu laughed proudly. Haha, did Leng Ruoxue still want to live after killing her great-grandfather? This time, she could finally take revenge for her daughter. I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you that Leng Yan and Leng Feng are also dead. Moreover, I killed them, Leng Ruoxue said calmly. Leng Shuang and Leng Yimin immediately broke out in cold sweat when they heard this and felt uneasy at the same time. It was really too ruthless. The Leng family would probably be in chaos this time. However, they also knew that this matter was no longer something they could manage. No. This is impossible. Leng Wanqiu roared. She didn't dare to believe this fact because if this was true, what would happen to her? She didn't dare to imagine. Nothing is impossible in this world. The strong decide everything. They are not as strong as me and provoked me, so naturally, they will not have a good end. As for you, even if Kerr thinks of something that doesn't belong to her, she will still be taught a lesson. Leng Ruoxue said honestly. With this woman's actions, she could not obtain anyone's sympathy. A person valued self-awareness, but this woman happened to not have it. As the saying goes, a pitiful person must have something hateful, and she was definitely looking at the pitiful typical representative, making others grit their teeth in hatred. Big sister, what do you plan to do with this woman? Leng Ruoxue turned her head to Leng Shuang and asked. Leng Shuang had tolerated for so many years, she shouldn't let her go. Otherwise, it wouldn't be Leng Shuang's character. Sister, do you have a good idea? Should I learn from sister and treat her daughter first before making her suffer a living hell? Leng Shuang asked after some thought. Big sister, you can decide this kind of thing yourself. On the account that you've planned for so many years, I won't snatch her from you. However, if you want to let her go, then they're mine. Leng Ruoxue made it very clear that she wouldn't let Leng Wanqiu go. After all, this mother and daughter had the intention to kill her, how could she let them live well? Sister, I won't let them go, Leng Shuang promised. Then she took out a white porcelain bottle from her storage ring and took out 2 pills from it. One was forcefully stuffed into Leng Wanqiu's mouth, and the other was given to Leng Rume, who was lying on the bed and unable to speak, but still staring at them. Yes, women are the worst. Leng Ruoxue nodded in agreement. Then she looked at the porcelain bottle in Leng Shuang's hand curiously. What did her sister give them? Chapter 8:15. The Sun Family Invites. 1. Leng Shuang, you can't treat me like this. Leng Wanqiu, who was struggling on the verge of death, couldn't help shouting. This is the 1000 poison pill. It was refined with almost 1,000 poisonous herbs. The efficacy is special. I specially prepared it for you and your daughter. This pill won't take your lives immediately, but it will torture you and make you wish you were dead, Leng Shuang explained calmly, looking at Leng Wanqiu as if she was looking at a dead person. Sister, since you've already decided what will happen to them, we can leave this place too. However, you better send someone to watch over this place lest someone can't bear to let them go. Leng Ruoxue saw Leng Yimin frown from the corner of her eye and revealed a trace of pity, so she reminded lightly. Yes, I won't let anyone have the chance to take advantage. In fact, it doesn't matter even if they are released. This medicine can't be cured. They will still die a month later, Leng Shuang said confidently. Then, she ignored Leng Wanqiu and her daughter, who were gradually taking effect, and pulled Leng Ruoxue out of Leng Rumai's room. In the snowfall garden. On a stone bench in the garden, Leng Shuang looked at Leng Ruoxue sitting opposite her with a worried expression and sighed. Big sister, what's wrong? Leng Ruoxue asked with some amusement. The woman who coveted her man had already been punished, but Leng Shuang sighed. Sister, Leng Xing's grandfather and granddaughter are all dead. I wonder how those ancestors will react. Leng Shuang said her worries. Alas, she got along very well with Leng Ruoxue, so she was really worried about her safety. Big sister, since we're here, let's take things as they come. Think about how quickly you'll grow old. Leng Ruoxue said nonchalantly. So what if they were so-called old ancestors? They were just mystic supremacies that had cultivated for a long time. Therefore, she wasn't afraid as long as they were still mystic supremacies. Sister, there are many Leng family members and they are complicated. Therefore, even though Leng Xing and the others are dead, someone might jump out for the sake of benefits, Leng Shuang analyzed. That's good, let's settle it together. Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. Sister. Leng Shuang was very helpless. Why wasn't this girl worried at all? Big sister, I've already handed the rest to the Grand Elder, so let's not worry, Leng Ruoxue said honestly. Really? I'm relieved. Leng Shuang nodded and felt relieved. Okay, don't worry. I think what you should do now is to look after your man lest you get schemed against by other women, Leng Ruoxue teased. Bad girl, even elder sister is teasing you. However, little sister, aren't you curious about how I punished your brother-in-law? Leng Shuang pretended to be angry and then couldn't help asking. This is a secret between you and your wife. I want to ask if you don't tell me yourself. Leng Ruoxue might be curious, but she respected other people's privacy very much. Moreover, she knew not to ask what she shouldn't ask, so she naturally wouldn't do anything to make things difficult for others. It's so good to have a sister like you, Leng Shuang said with emotion. However, she still didn't say what happened between her and Leng Yimin. Just consider it as giving that man some face. Big sister, I have something to tell you, Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. Sister, speak frankly. Leng Shuang was a little amused. Big sister, we'll leave the Leng family later, Leng Ruoxue said. They had already discussed it, and Feng De and the others were probably almost ready. Leave in a while? Why are you in such a hurry? Does the Grand Elder know? Leng Shuang asked one question after another. Big sister, I originally wanted to leave without saying goodbye, but since you're here, I'll greet you. I didn't tell anyone else, Leng Ruoxue explained. Sister, I'm afraid it's not appropriate for you to leave now. The Sun family suffered heavy losses in this competition. They probably won't let go of this opportunity if they know that you left proud Cold City. Leng Shuang began to worry again when she heard Leng Ruoxue say that she was leaving. Leng Xing's grandfather and granddaughter have all died in my hands. Is big sister still worried about me? Leng Ruoxue asked in return. In fact, she wanted to say that she didn't care about the Sun family at all. However, she felt that it was better to keep a low profile, so she didn't say it. Where is little sister going? Leng Shuang could not help but ask. I don't know. Wherever we go counts. Leng Ruoxue said. They originally wanted to go to the Dark Night Seas, but the Sun family was ultimately a big problem, so she decided to go to Sunzhou City. However, she couldn't tell Leng Shuang this. Otherwise, this worried sister of hers would probably be worried to death. Then stay away from the Sun family's territory. The Sun family might not be as strong as before, but we still can't underestimate them, Leng Shuang reminded. She knew that she couldn't stop Leng Ruoxue from leaving, but she had to remind her. Okay, sister, don't worry. We won't fight the Sun family head-on, Leng Ruoxue promised. She wouldn't fight the Sun family head-on. She was just giving herself to them. That's good. Leng Shuang nodded. Miss, we're ready. Suddenly, Feng Da's voice interrupted them. Yes, big sister, we're leaving. You should pretend not to know. Leng Ruoxue reminded. Okay. Leng Shuang knew Leng Ruoxue did it for her own good. Otherwise, if the Grand Elder knew that she didn't report the matter, he would definitely not let her go. Just like that, Leng Shuang reluctantly stood outside the Snowfall Garden and watched Leng Ruoxue and the others leave the Leng family. At this moment, the forbidden area in the Leng family's back mountain was also not calm. In a room in the forbidden area, the three Leng Xiaoyu brothers, the Grand Elder, and a few old ancestors of the Leng family were gathered here. However, the Leng family members of the old ancestors were nothing in front of the three of them. Ancestors, you have to uphold justice for Leng Feng, his grandfather, and his granddaughter. An old man in his 60s said loudly. Make the decision? What decision? The three of us have long ignored the affairs of the Leng family for many years. You can cultivate in peace. Don't get involved in those mundane affairs if there's nothing else. It won't be beneficial to your cultivation level, Leng Xiaoxiao, Leng Xiaoyu's third brother, said calmly with raised eyelids. In fact, he understood what this old man meant. He was just pretending. Chapter 8:16. The Sun Family Invites 2. My dear three old ancestors, the three of them died unjustly. They actually died at the hands of a junior from the Leng family whose name has yet to change. That junior harmed his own clansmen and should be punished by the clan rules. I hope the three old ancestors can understand, the old man said stubbornly. In fact, it was not that he had a good relationship with Leng Feng. He was just planning for himself. How can a junior who can kill the three of them be nameless? Leng Xiaoxiao asked curiously. Yes, I heard that junior came from the lower realm and doesn't have any status. However, she has someone backing her up, so she dared to kill Leng Feng's grandfather and granddaughter. The old man looked at Leng Qianye and said resolutely. Leng Hua, are you talking about me as your backer? Leng Qianye said with a spurious smile. A perfect smile remained on his handsome face as he said without anger. What do you think? Leng Hua sneered. How would I know? Leng Qianye said nonchalantly. This old man's seniority was not as high as his, but he always liked to treat himself as an imaginary enemy. He had never liked to use his seniority to pressure others. Therefore, not many in the clan knew his true seniority. Many people only knew that his seniority was high, but they did not know how high it was. This old man was like that. Leng Hua was furious. He didn't expect Leng Qianye to actually dare to play dirty in front of the three largest ancestors of the Leng family. However, he was a little gloating because this meant that Leng Qianye would have a bad impression of the ancestors, and this was very beneficial to him. What about me? What I want to say is that she doesn't need my support at all. Her beasts alone are enough to make Leng Feng's grandfather and granddaughter suffer. Leng Qianye narrowed his eyes and said with a light smile. It was no longer a secret in the Leng family that Leng Ruoxue had many beasts, so he was not afraid of these people knowing. He just hoped that some people would be a little afraid and not risk their lives. That little girl was not him. She would care about the ties of her clansmen. If he really angered that girl, she would definitely be a heartless person. Beasts? Our Leng family has so many mystic supremacies. Would we be afraid of a few transcendent divine beasts? Leng Hua said nonchalantly. He had also heard about Leng Ruoxue having many beasts. However, he didn't take it to heart out of confidence in his family. If you're not afraid, go ahead and find trouble with them. I won't stop you, nor will I collect your corpses, Leng Qianye said venomously because he knew that the little red bird beside Shuang wouldn't prepare the Leng family's corpses at all. It would destroy the corpse directly with a fire. Isn't the Grand Elder exaggerating too much to scare us? She's just a little girl. How much power can she have? I don't believe we can't deal with a little girl as long as you don't help, Leng Hua said confidently. Go ahead and try if you don't believe me, Leng Qinya said coldly and then ignored the reckless Leng Hua. 3 ancestors, please give the Leng family's soul-chasing token. Leng Hua pleaded. As long as the soul-chasing token was given, that girl could forget about living no matter how great her ability was. Leng Hua, we don't care about the Leng family anymore. If you want to get the soul-chasing token, you should look for the current patriarch of the Leng family, Leng Xiaoxiao reminded. Alas, Leng Hua had lived for too long. He actually wanted to kill the few descendants of the Leng family in front of second brother. With second brother's protective nature, he probably wouldn't let Leng Hua go. Big brother had yet to express any opinion, so he really couldn't tell what the two of them were thinking for a while. Old ancestor, Leng Yimin said that he can't decide this matter. Leng Hua complained angrily. Previously he had sent someone to look for Leng Yimin, but he was refused. That was why he came to trouble the old ancestors, and there was no lack of intentions to make things difficult for Leng Yimin. If the patriarch of the Leng family can't make the decision, then we can't make the decision either, Leng Xiaoxiao said very irresponsibly. As the saying goes, the tea would become cold when the person leaves. If the current patriarch refused to care, then they naturally had no reason to care. Anyway, there were so many people in the Leng family, so it was fine if a few died. However, the ones who died were all from Big Brother's line. Hopefully, Big Brother wouldn't have any bad thoughts. Among the 3 of them, second brother had the fewest descendants, and he didn't have many. Most of the members of the Leng family were basically from the eldest brother's line now. However, even though it was passed down from an ancestor, there were many open and secret disputes among them, so it wasn't good to have too many descendants. However, Big Brother seemed to be quite calm, and he probably wouldn't turn against second brother for the sake of a few incompetent descendants. After all, in terms of contribution to the family, no one could compare to second brother. Leng Hua was a little dumbfounded. What did the old ancestor mean? Didn't care? How could this be? He couldn't understand. Leng Hua, Leng Feng and the others, let the matter end here. They only have themselves to blame for dying. You can't blame anyone else. Therefore, you better behave yourselves and put away your thoughts. Otherwise, bear the consequences. Leng Xiaoqing, who had been silent, warned. Old ancestor. Leng Hua's face was full of confidence. Did he hear it wrongly? Leng Feng and the others were the descendants of this old ancestor. The old ancestor actually didn't pursue Leng Ruox's matter. This was too unbelievable. Even if Leng Ruoxue had the support of the Grand Elder, this shouldn't be the result. Leave. Cultivate in peace. It's been so many years. If you still can't break through, there's only death, Leng Xiaoqing warned. Yes. The old ancestors left the room gloomily after being reprimanded. After they left, only the 3 Leng Xiaoyu brothers and the Grand Elder were left in the huge room. Big brother, I'm sorry for causing you to lose so many descendants, Leng Xiaoyu said lightly with a cold aura. They asked for it. They can't blame anyone else, Leng Xiaoqing said nonchalantly. He wouldn't have any grudges with his younger brother for a few disappointing descendants. Moreover, those descendants were too different from him in terms of seniority, and he didn't have too deep of a relationship with them. How could he fall out with his younger brother for them? Alas, the Leng family's strength couldn't be separated from Xiaoyu. He knew this better than anyone. Chapter 8:17. The Sun Family Invites. 3. Grandpas, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave too. At this moment, Leng Qinya took the opportunity to say, well, the atmosphere in the room was a little oppressive now, so it was better for him to leave. Qianyi, when are you bringing the 3 of them over for us to meet? Leng Xiaoqing said kindly. I can't decide that. That little girl is stubborn. No one can force her unless she wants to, Leng Qinya said helplessly. Although he hadn't known little Shuang for long, he was pretty sure of that girl's character. Therefore, he didn't dare to rashly agree to eldest granduncle's request. Otherwise, that girl would definitely turn hostile. Boo! He was really too pitiful. He actually had to look at the expressions of his descendants. There was such a cowardly ancestor in the world. At this moment, he didn't know that Leng Ruoxue and the others had already left the Leng family. Oh, what a nice girl. Let's see her when I have time. Leng Xiaoqing compromised. A junior that Xiao Yu took seriously was naturally worthy of his attention. Grandpa's, I'll take my leave. Leng Qianye nodded and then stood up to leave the room. After exiting the forbidden area, Leng Qianye went straight to the Snowfall Garden. However, when he arrived, he realized that the building was already empty. Immediately, an abandoned feeling surged throughout his body. Boo! What a heartless little girl. She actually left without bidding farewell. She's too much. Leng Qianye sat on a stone bench in the garden with tears in his eyes. He complained silently. He was busy cleaning up the little girl's mess, but the little girl actually sneaked away. Damn it. Leng Ruoxue and the others left Proud Cold City and slowly walked in the direction of Sunzhou City. However, after walking for nearly a day, they met the Sun family on the way. Leng Ruoxue raised her beautiful eyes and looked at the dog blocking the way in front of her. She said with a faint smile, "Isn't this the sixth elder of the Sun family? Is there something wrong with you blocking in front of us?" Leng Ruoxue, our Sun family invites you in, the sixth elder of the Sun family said coldly with a cold face. Leng Xing was really too useless. He actually let Leng Ruoxue leave the Leng family. However, this saved him a lot of trouble because he was planning to go to Proud Cold City to put up a thread for Leng Ruoxue and the others. He still didn't know that Leng Xing had already died. Oh, then sixth elder, lead the way. Leng Ruoxue nodded and said with a light smile. She was planning to go to the Sun family. The Sun family came to invite her. She could say that the Sun family was very sensible. Miss Leng, please follow me. The sixth elder of the Sun family was stunned, and then he said, "Damn. Could Leng Ruoxue be a fool? This is a feast at Hongmen. Feast of Hongmen was a banquet set up with the aim of murdering a guest for the Sun family. She actually agreed to go with him without thinking, so how could he not be surprised? In fact, before he came to look for Leng Ruoxue, he had prepared many plans, such as being polite before resorting to force, coercion, enticement, and so on. He had thought of all of them, but he didn't expect Leng Ruoxue to actually agree so readily, and the plan he prepared didn't even use one move. This didn't prevent him from feeling a sense of accomplishment. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded and summoned the little peacock, indicating for everyone to sit on it. Then they followed the sixth elder of the Sun family and flew directly to Sunzhou City. Leng Ruoxue and the others arrived at Sunzhou City after flying for nearly a week. The sixth elder never stopped talking as they walked on the streets of Sunzhou City. Miss Leng, our son Zhouqing isn't inferior to Ao Hanqing. You definitely won't regret marrying into the Sun family, the sixth elder of the Sun family said self-righteously. Sixth elder, when did I say that I'm going to marry into the Sun family? I already have a fiancé, Leng Ruoxue reminded. It would be strange if she didn't regret it. Along the way, this old man had intentionally or unintentionally flaunted the Sun family to her, but she had ignored him. She didn't expect this old man to still not give up. You're from the Leng family, so your marriage will naturally be decided by the Leng family. How can you settle down privately? The Leng family won't admit it, the sixth elder said confidently. After knowing Leng Ruoxue's beauty, many people in the clan missed her. What does it have to do with me whether the Leng family admits it or not? I'm not from the Leng family, Leng Ruoxue said for the umpteenth time. It seemed like she had to find a time to sue the world. She had nothing to do with the Leng family. Otherwise, it would not be good to continue being misunderstood. Leng Ruoxue, how can you not even acknowledge the ancestor sect? The Sun family's sixth elder said somewhat angrily. As a member of the vast heaven continent, he was very clear about the importance of the family. Therefore, seeing a person who viewed the family as dirt now, he was really a little unaccustomed. This is my business. It has nothing to do with the sixth elder, right? Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. How can it be okay? You're going to marry into our Sun family, the sixth elder corrected. Leng Ruoxue stopped talking after hearing what the sixth elder said because she really didn't want to harp on this matter. What the Sun family thought was the Sun family's business. If the Sun family wanted to marry the young lady of the Leng family, go ahead, but this person would definitely not be her. Sixth elder, let's stay in that inn. After walking for a while, Leng Ruoxue suddenly pointed at a 3-story high inn. That inn had the Sun family's totem, which should belong to the Sun family. Miss Leng, you are guests of the Sun family. It's not suitable for you to stay in the inn. The Sun family has already arranged a residence for you, sixth elder said. Oh, then let's go quickly. I'm tired and want to rest early, Leng Ruoxue said impatiently. Rest early? Miss Leng, it's not night yet? The sixth elder was a little speechless. Leng Ruoxue and the others often asked to rest along the way, so they could reach Sunzhou City in less than 2 days, day and night, but they had to take almost a week to arrive. Thinking of this, he was a little depressed, but he had to agree. Otherwise, Leng Ruoxue and the others would walk even slower. Who said only night can rest? I want to rest now, who dares not to? Leng Ruoxue said with slight displeasure. Then let's go quickly. The sixth elder quickened his pace after speaking. About half an hour later, he brought them to the Sun family's main residence and arranged an independent yard for Leng Ruoxue and the others. Then he went to report to the patriarch himself. Ooh, he was really working hard. His legs were about to break from running for the past few days. Chapter 8:18 The Sun Family Invites 4. After the sixth elder of the Sun family left, Fengde and the others looked at their residence and clicked their tongues in wonder. Miss, this place is actually called Snow Garden. I wonder if they did it on purpose or not. Don't tell me you think calling it Snow Garden is related to me? Leng Ruoxue rolled her eyes and was a little speechless. Her subordinate's imagination was really becoming richer and richer. It's hard to say. Miss, I wonder why the Sun family invited us here. I'm really curious. Fengde said with a grin and then looked at Leng Ruoxue curiously. Definitely not to treat us to a meal. Don't worry. Leng Ruoxue smiled evilly and said calmly. Could it be that they want to take revenge? But if that's the case, there's no need to arrange for us to stay in such a good place, right? Wouldn't it be better to just attack directly? Fengde guessed that the decorations in this snow garden were not inferior to the snowfall garden they lived in the Leng family. Why think so much? We will know eventually, Empty said nonchalantly and found a random place to sit down. Okay, do as you please. I'll go back to my room first. After speaking, Leng Ruoxue pulled the freak to find a room and walked in. After arranging for Leng Ruoxue and the others, the sixth elder went straight to the patriarch's study. In the study, Xing sat in the main seat and looked up at the sixth elder in front of him, his handsome face revealing slight displeasure. Patriarch, the sixth elder looked at Xing uneasily, feeling very uncertain. Boo! Why was the patriarch only looking at him and not saying anything? Why did you go for so long? Xing asked. He had arranged the fastest flying beast for the sixth elder, but he didn't expect this old fellow to go for so many days. Patriarch, Leng Ruoxue and the others' beasts fly at a slow speed, and they always ask to rest. I was afraid that they wouldn't be willing to follow me obediently, so I had to coax them, the sixth elder explained with a face full of grievance. Boo! If it wasn't for the patriarch asking Leng Ruoxue to be unharmed, he wouldn't have been so accommodating. Oh, have they arranged it? Xing asked with half-closed eyes. Yes, I've arranged it. Please rest assured, patriarch. The sixth elder nodded. To be honest, he was a little uncertain about the patriarch's thoughts now. Logically speaking, Leng Ruoxue had crippled many juniors of the Sun family, so she should be considered an enemy of the Sun family. But why did the patriarch still treat her so politely? That's good. Send someone to watch them lest they slip away secretly, Xing instructed. Don't worry, patriarch. The Sun family is heavily guarded. Not even a fly can fly out, the sixth elder promised. Don't be careless. Leng Ruoxue is very important, Sun Sheng said very seriously. Patriarch, I kept testing Leng Ruoxue along the way. However, she's either pretending to be crazy or acting stupid. She's not easy to deal with. Sixth Elder said worriedly. To be honest, he had never seen such a difficult opponent in all his life. Oh, what did you test her about? Sun Sheng was a little curious. I told her briefly about the Sun family. Moreover, I said that she would marry into the Sun family. However, she said that she wasn't from the Leng family and wouldn't accept the Leng family's arrangement, the sixth elder said with a slight headache. That's not up to her. Sun Sheng said nonchalantly. He had never seen Leng Ruoxue before, but he had heard of Leng Ruoxue's beauty. Otherwise, that person would not take her so seriously. Patriarch, I heard Leng Ruoxue is amenable to coaxing but not coercion. Moreover, she seems to have a good relationship with the young master, the sixth elder reminded. What he implied was that he could use the relationship between the young master and her. Oh, tell Tengaer to visit them when she has time. We have to stabilize her, Sun Sheng said after some thought. Yes, the sixth elder answered and then left the study. In the snow garden, Leng Ruoxue and the freak returned to their rooms to rest. However, Feng De and the others started a fire in the garden and prepared to make dinner. They didn't dare to eat anything from the Sun family. You guys really know how to enjoy yourselves. Suddenly, a man's clear voice sounded in the garden. Yo, what brings the young master of the Sun family here? Feng De looked up at Sun Teng and said without much enthusiasm. I heard from the sixth elder that you guys were here, so I specially came to take a look, Sun Teng explained. Then he looked up and searched everywhere, but he didn't find any traces of Leng Ruoxue and the freak. Where are Leng Ruoxue and the others? Sun Teng asked curiously. Miss is tired and went to rest. I'm afraid you won't be able to see her today. Feng De said with a light smile. Oh, why are you guys here in the Sun family? Sun Teng couldn't help asking. The Sun family invited us. How dare we not come? Feng De said matter-of-factly, as if it was only natural. You shouldn't have come, Sun Teng said faintly with a sigh. Can you let us do this? If we don't come, the Sun family will also think of ways to force us here. Feng De said understandingly. Don't worry, they'll think of a way to protect you, Sun Teng said after a moment of silence. Young Master Sun, thank you for your kind intentions, but think about yourself. Feng De reminded. He had a good impression of this Sun Teng. Unfortunately, Sun Teng just happened to be from the Sun family. Alas, heaven was playing tricks on them. Sun Teng was destined not to be friends with them. In the future, he might even become enemies. This is the Sun family. Sun Teng smiled bitterly. No matter how powerful Leng Ruoxue and the others were, he didn't think these people could gain anything from the Sun family. Yes, we know. Young Master Sun, we want to eat. Do you want to join us? Feng De invited. Okay, then I want stand on ceremony. Sun Teng sat down beside Feng De and picked up a piece of raw meat to roast. Sometimes, he really envied these people's carefree lives. Such a life had always been his dream. Unfortunately, he couldn't get it. Feng De and the others chatted with Sun Teng as they ate, asking about the Sun family from time to time. Sun Teng basically answered all of their questions. Therefore, the guests and host were overjoyed during the meal. Chapter 8:19, The Sun Family in Deep Fire, 1. The next day. Leng Ruoxue and the others slipped into the Sun family's main residence after breakfast, calling it a walk. Miss, the Sun family is quite big, Feng De praised. They had been walking for the entire morning, but they had only walked a third of the way. This is, after all, one of the 3 major families. Isn't it normal for it to be big? Leng Ruoxue calmly said. After that, her beautiful eyes carefully observed her surroundings. Hey, hurry up and help me work. When Leng Ruoxue and the others passed by a yard, an unruly voice suddenly sounded in everyone's ears. However, none of them took it seriously and just continued walking. I'm talking to you? Are you deaf? The voice chased and blocked their way. Are you talking to us? Leng Ruoxue looked up at the girl blocking them and asked lightly. Who else could it be? Which yard are you from? How dare you ignore my words? I must tell the patriarch and punish you severely. The girl looked at Leng Ruoxue in amazement, her words full of ruthlessness and jealousy. Sigh. Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but sigh softly. Did they really have the face of a servant? Why was Leng Rume like this and the girl in front of her like this? The aggressive girl in front of him was not very beautiful, but she was very cute. Her round face was red, and her big eyes were very bright. Unfortunately, if one wanted to have a good impression of her, the cuteness on her body would be destroyed when she opened her mouth to speak, and the superiority of the daughter of a noble family was fully displayed. Up to you. Leng Ruoxue was very cold. She didn't have much patience with such an unreasonable young lady from a noble family, so she only hoped that this woman in front of her had some tact and didn't anger her. Otherwise, she wouldn't be polite when she attacked. Do you know who you're talking to? How dare you? I think you don't want to live anymore. The girl roared angrily. She had never received such treatment in the Sun family. How preposterous. I'm alive and well, how can I not want to live? Moreover, who you are isn't important to me. I just want to tell you to stay away from me and not provoke me, Leng Ruoxue warned. Then she led everyone to pass the girl in front of her from the side. She was in a good mood today, so she didn't want to bother with this unruly woman. However, how could the girl let it go? Moreover, she was so angry that she took out the whip around her waist and waved it at Leng Ruoxue and the others. Feeling the bloodthirsty aura, Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes flashed with a cold light. Then, with a leap, the whip in the girl's hand arrived in her hand. Leng Ruoxue's anger surged as she looked at the barbs on the whip. If it wasn't for their strength, this whip would definitely not have been fun to hit her. Moreover, she had never had a good impression of the woman who used the whip. However, she had always liked to give her a taste of her own medicine, so she didn't hesitate to swing the whip back at the girl. The girl couldn't help but be stunned for a moment because the whip was taken away. However, when Leng Ruoxue's whip arrived in front of her, she suddenly woke up. However, it was already too late. The whip hit her firmly, causing her to cry out in pain, and her body was drenched in blood. How dare you hit me? I won't let you go. I want to kill you. The young girl cried out in pain, the anger and hatred on her face impossible to hide. Leng Ruoxue swung her whip several times when she heard the girl's words. She was not a person who would pity women. Moreover, she had no reason to let go of a woman who said she wanted to kill her. After all, this was the Sun family, and she wanted to nip the danger in the bud. Miss, she has already fainted, Fengde reminded. He knew that his miss hated whips, and this woman happened to encounter Miss Taboo, so she deserved to be beaten. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Then, she threw away the whip in her hand and left with everyone. Miss, why didn't you kill that woman? Lu Tao couldn't help but ask. She hated that woman just now. Lu Tao, you've become violent, Leng Ruoxue teased with a light smile. Miss. Lu Tao was speechless. She was violent? Then what was her young miss? Even though that woman is very annoying, it's enough to teach her a lesson. There's no need to kill her. Leng Ruoxue said disdainfully. It would be beneath her dignity to argue with an ant. Miss, I'm afraid we're in trouble again. We taught their young miss a lesson in the Sun family. The Sun family probably won't let us go, right? Lu Tao asked curiously, her beautiful face full of anticipation. That's for sure, but who knows if she's Miss Sun, Leng Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Didn't she come to the Sun family to cause trouble? She just didn't expect it to be so soon, so that woman knocking into her hand was asking for it. Initially, she didn't intend to teach that woman a lesson. Unfortunately, she didn't appreciate it. Miss, are we still going to spin? Fengde asked carefully. Let's transfer here today. Let's go back and wait for the Sun family to come and denounce us. Otherwise, how rude would it be if they missed? Leng Ruoxue said very kindly. Then, everyone swaggered back to the snow garden. Less than an hour after returning to the snow garden, the head butler of the Sun family brought people over. In the garden, Leng Ruoxue sat on a stone bench and looked at the head butler standing in front of her and the others without saying a word. Both sides stared at each other. Cough. Miss Leng, I heard from the maidservants in the residence that you injured Miss Su? The head butler cleared his throat and said uncomfortably. Boo. These people gave him a huge pair. What Miss Su? Do I know her? Leng Ruoxue blinked her beautiful eyes, her beautiful face full of innocence. Miss Leng, did you injure a young lady? The head butler had no choice but to ask in a different way. Yes, that's right. When we were taking a walk in the yard, a crazy woman said she wanted to kill us, so I taught her a small lesson, Leng Ruoxue said honestly. Chapter 820, The Sun Family in Deep Fire, 2, That's Miss Su, the head butler said. Then he couldn't help but feel uneasy in his heart. He even taught her a small lesson. Alas, Miss Su was beaten half to death. Oh. Leng Ruoxue answered lightly and didn't say anything else. Miss Leng, that Miss Su is the mistress niece, so our patriarch is in a difficult position. The head butler sighed softly. Boo. Why was Leng Ruoxue's reaction so calm? Wasn't she afraid? Oh. Leng Ruoxue's reaction was still not big. Miss Leng, the patriarch invites you in. The head butler's forehead was full of sweat. He thought, why is it so difficult to communicate with this woman? Oh. Leng Ruoxue answered lightly, then stood up and pulled the freak out of the snow garden. Miss Leng, where are you going? The head butler wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and chased after the two of them as he asked speechlessly. Is the head butler's memory so bad? Didn't you say that your patriarch wants to see me? Of course I'm going to see your patriarch. Leng Ruoxue said matter-of-factly. I'll bring you there. The head butler was a little crazy, but he still hurriedly said, Boo. He was really afraid that Leng Ruoxue would barge into the Sun family. This time he beat up his cousin. Who knew if he would beat up Miss Sun next time? Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded reluctantly, but she was already laughing in her heart. The head butler of the Sun family led the way sadly. Soon he brought Leng Ruoxue and the freak to the main yard. Then he asked the guard to report and led Leng Ruoxue and the freak directly into the living room. In the living room, Sun Sheng sat on the main seat. On either side of him were his two wives, and there were a few elders of the Sun family with higher status sitting below them. After Leng Ruoxue and the freak entered the living room, they saw that everyone in the living room looked like they were going to denounce them. However, neither of them cared. Instead, they casually found two empty seats and sat down. Is the mighty Miss Leng so rude? Master hasn't even invited you to sit down. Why did you sit down yourself? A very unfriendly voice sounded in the living room. Madam, are you talking to me? I need to make it clear that I'm not the young lady of the Leng family. Leng Ruoxue raised her beautiful eyes and glanced at the young woman who spoke with a faint smile. You? The young woman was so angry that she couldn't say anything. Her limpid eyes stared at Sun Sheng pitifully, meaning for Sun Sheng to uphold justice for her. Miss Leng, you're indeed a little rude, Sun Sheng said with slight displeasure. Chang Yan said that guests should do as the host wished, but this guest didn't care about him at all, so how could he not be angry? However, Leng Ruoxue was really the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. She deserved her reputation. Perhaps. However, I don't think you're very polite as a master. The Sun family's patriarch, respect is mutual. I don't see that you have the intention of respecting me, so there's naturally no need to respect you, Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. Sun Sheng looked to be around 40 years old. He had taken good care of himself. He was handsome and had the aura of a leader. His strength was mystic sovereign. As for the two women beside him, one was dignified and the other was enchanting. They were both in their 30s. However, their strength was not high. The best was a mystic monarch. Miss Leng is indeed sharp-tongued. However, I didn't invite you here to bicker with you. You injured our guest in the Sun family. You have to give me an explanation, right? Sun Sheng said with a deeper meaning. What explanation? Could it be that the Sun family's patriarch wants me to pay the medical fees? I beat up the 10th elder of the Leng family and compensated him with an amethyst coin. How many amethyst coins does the Sun family's patriarch think that Miss Su is worth? Leng Ruoxue asked very innocently. This, Sun Xing didn't know what to say because he realized that Leng Ruoxue was really, as the 6th elder said, difficult to deal with. Miss Leng, Su Jiao is my niece. Originally, I shouldn't have stood up for her since my niece offended you, but her injuries were a little serious. However, she deserved it, so there's no need to compensate. Miss Leng just needs to apologize, a beautiful woman beside Sun Xing said, her face still full of helplessness. Mrs. Sun, you also said that your niece deserved it. Do you think I will apologize? Leng Ruoxue said with a spurious smile. If she was not mistaken, this person should be Sun Ting's mother, right? Miss Leng, I don't want you to compensate me anymore. Can I just apologize? Eldest Madam Sun was a little displeased. At this moment, she even felt that Leng Ruoxue wasn't as good as her son said. If it's my fault, I will naturally apologize, Leng Ruoxue said calmly. She was a person who distinguished gratitude and grudges clearly. It was impossible for her to wrong herself for an unreasonable woman. Big sister, I told you long ago that she won't apologize. Why did you insist? Another woman gloated, the hatred in her eyes disappearing in a flash. Could this be the legendary Madam Sun who eloped with President Wu? Leng Ruoxue looked at the woman with limitless charm and an alluring figure and said with a light smile. She finally saw the famous Madam Sun today. This woman wasn't considered beautiful, but she had a charm that men couldn't resist. Moreover, that sexy figure was probably the main reason why men were obsessed with her. What did you say? As soon as the second madam of the Sun family heard Wu Gong's name, she jumped up from her chair as if her tail had been stepped on. She glared at Leng Ruoxue with anger. Madam Sun, you're so young. Are your ears not working well? Leng Ruoxue's beautiful face was full of pity. Leng Ruoxue, repeat what you said just now if you have the guts, the second madam roared furiously. She was so angry that her originally not considered pretty face was a little distorted. Mrs. Sun, where did Wu Gong go? Leng Ruoxue asked with a naughty smile. What a joke. Did she have to say anything if this woman asked her to? Moreover, which woman had the guts? Who should I ask if you ask me? Second madam gritted her teeth in hatred. At this moment, she really wanted to chop Leng Ruoxue into pieces. Could it be that she was going to lose favor again because of Leng Ruoxue's few words? She absolutely couldn't allow such a thing to happen. Patriarch, these two people actually humiliated me in front of you. You have to uphold justice for me. Madam Sun said aggrievedly with tears in her watery eyes. Shut up. Sun Sheng roared impatiently. Then he suppressed his anger and composed himself. He said to Leng Ruoxue and the freak, Gentlemen, Vice President Wu's disappearance has nothing to do with our Sun family. I've already explained this to the president of the Mystic Cultivator Association, so I don't want to hear the same thing from the two of you. Oh, but rumors are terrifying. After all, it's not a good thing for a mother to create such a scandal. It will also bring bad effects to the juniors in the family, Leng Ruoxue said worriedly. Miss Leng is right, but she's no longer the matriarch, Sun Xing said calmly. What? Oh. Leng Ruoxue and the second madam of the Sun family said at the same time, but their reactions were completely different. The Sun family treats their concubines very well. They can actually sit beside the patriarch, Leng Ruoxue said in disbelief. Lu Wan, back off, Sun Sheng scolded angrily, the fire in his heart surging. Patriarch. Second Madam Lu Wan's face was full of disbelief. Just because of a few words from Leng Ruoxue, she had actually been demoted to a concubine by the patriarch. This hatred in her heart. She had worked hard for so many years, but in just a few minutes, it had all disappeared. Thinking of this, she lost her mind and pounced towards Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue, I'm going to kill you. Lu Wan's hatred burned furiously, wanting to skin Leng Ruoxue alive. Bang! Lu Wan, who was pouncing on Leng Ruoxue, was kicked out by the freak. After Lu Wan was kicked away, she directly collided with a pillar in the living room. Then, after falling to the ground, she rolled out of the living room like a ball. In short, she was as disheveled as possible. This change almost dumbfounded everyone present because everything happened too quickly. Before they could even react, Lu Wan was in tragedy. "You guys are too much." Sun Sheng stood up from his chair. Damn it, what day was it today? He obviously wanted to give Leng Ruoxue a show of strength, but he was the one who lost face in the end. Was there anything more depressing than this? We didn't do anything? Leng Ruoxue's beautiful face was full of innocence. It was just self-defense. Sun Sheng almost fainted before he could catch his breath. Patriarch, take care of your health. Don't be angry over such a small matter, eldest madam of the Sun family said with concern. Yes. Patriarch son, be careful of your body. Overindulgence is not good for your body, Leng Ruoxue reminded angrily. Then she stood up and pulled the freak away, and the two left the living room as if no one was around. Damn it, I'm so angry. Sun Sheng's anger increased when he saw Leng Ruoxue and Lu Jinwen leave. 1. Patriarch, why bother with a junior? The eldest madam said helplessly. I've lived for decades, but I've never been so angry before. Sun Sheng was depressed just thinking about it. This really made him lose face. Patriarch, should we let Leng Ruoxue know the power of our Sun family? An elder suggested. Don't act rashly first. Send someone to watch her. Sun Sheng took a deep breath and ordered. Chapter 822, The Sun Family in Deep Fire, 4, Yes. The elder replied, then left the living room to make the arrangements. Madam, help me back to my room to rest. Sun Sheng felt that the blood in his body was flowing towards a certain place, and his head was dizzy and very uncomfortable. Okay. The eldest madam nodded and helped Sun Sheng out of the living room. Leng Ruoxue and the freak returned to the snow garden in a good mood. When Feng Da and the others saw them return, they immediately surrounded them and kept asking, Miss, what did the Sun family say? Miss, did Sun Sheng make things difficult for you? Leng Ruoxue looked at Feng Da and the others with some amusement and said with a mysterious smile, We're fine, but Sun Sheng's condition is probably not good. What's wrong with him? Everyone was very curious. Leng Ruoxue and the freak looked at each other and told them what happened in the living room. Everyone couldn't help laughing after hearing that. Shuang, you two are too evil, Empty said with a light smile. Alas, the unlucky second mistress of the Sun family and the poor Sun Sheng. Why did you provoke Shuang for no reason? Weren't you the ones who were at a disadvantage? We're not guests in the Sun family, of course we can't be polite. Leng Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Please keep reading on MIB0XN0VIL, D0T, C0M. And that makes sense. Why don't we let Feng Da and the others go out and see if there's anyone who doesn't have eyes who will take the initiative to knock into us? Empty suggested. Go if you want to go. We don't need to stand on ceremony, just treat this as your home. Leng Ruoxue reminded with a naughty smile. Yes, Mississippi. Then well go, Feng Da and the others said hurriedly. Then they left the snow garden with the team. Empty, who was extremely bored, actually followed them to join in the fun. In the evening, Feng Da and the others, who had had enough fun, returned to the snow garden with a smile. After having a comfortable dinner, they returned to their rooms early to rest, but the Sun family could not calm down. After half a day, Feng Da and the others caused a commotion in the Sun family. Moreover, many of the Sun family members were beaten up because of a disagreement. At night, the Sun family members who went to complain to Sun Sheng created an unprecedented record. Not only that, many of the Sun family members didn't dare to be angry but didn't dare to say anything because the opponent was really too barbaric. In the eldest madam's room, Sun Sheng lay on the bed with a pale face. Eldest madam was feeding him, and the room was full of elders and members of the Sun family. Many of them had bruises on their faces. Patriarch, You have to uphold justice for us. Those people are really too barbaric, an elder of the Sun family said with a long face. His face was swollen like a pig's head. However, in order to let the patriarch stand up for them, he came directly without even taking the medicine. Patriarch, those people are actually still so arrogant in our Sun family. How preposterous! Where will the Sun family's face go if our Sun family doesn't teach them a good lesson? Another elder said indignantly, Are you done? Leave if you are. The patriarch isn't feeling well today and needs to rest, the eldest madam said with a slight headache. She couldn't stop sighing inwardly. Leng Ruoxue was really good at causing trouble. She really didn't know what they had done this afternoon that made so many people complain. Yes. The elders could only choose to leave when they saw this. After all, they knew why the patriarch was unwell. Alas, it was also because Leng Ruoxue angered him. The next day, after breakfast, Feng De and the others went out collectively. Moreover, they caused a commotion in the Sun family. However, they returned to the snow garden on time for lunch and then slipped away. On the third day, it was still the same. On the fourth day, the Sun family almost didn't dare to appear in front of them because in the eyes of the Sun family, they were unreasonable barbarians. Therefore, they had to hide when they saw them. Otherwise, they would be the unlucky ones. Captain, where did the Sun family hide? Lin Yuan looked at the empty yard and was depressed. What was going on? Wasn't this the Sun family? Even the guards were missing. Alas, they couldn't find anything even if they wanted to. They'll be out in a while. Feng De said confidently. Then he took out a small black ball from his storage ring and casually threw it into a yard. Bang! The wall outside the yard exploded. Who dares to cause trouble in the Sun family? A furious roar sounded and several figures jumped out from the dark. However, when they saw Feng De and the others in the yard, they wanted to run. Unfortunately, they were blocked by Feng De and the others who had been waiting for them. What do you want? The guard captain said with a trembling voice, his eyes filled with fear. Boo! Why was he on duty today? If he had known that the explosion was caused by these malignant stars, he wouldn't have come out even if he died because he remembered the orders from above at all times and saw them hiding. Nothing. I just want to spar with you guys, Feng De said with a smile. Then he gave Lin Yuan and the others a look. Everyone swarmed forward tacitly and beat up these guards who showed their heads. For a moment, the painful cries of the guards and the muffled sounds of fists hitting flesh resonated throughout the entire yard. The Sun family, who were hiding in the room, were so frightened that their bodies trembled. However, they were also a little curious. Which unlucky person was caught by those barbarians? Patriarch, this can't go on. As evening approached, many elders and clansmen of the Sun family gathered in eldest madam's room. Moreover, everyone's face was covered in fear because they couldn't figure it out for a few days. This was the Sun family, and they had to be the ones to be arrogant, domineering, and bullying. Why were outsiders the ones who dominated an area in the Sun family? Boo! No one would believe this if word got out. This was the Sun family's main residence in Sunzhou City. This was too unbelievable. Cough cough. Then what do you want me to do? Sun Sheng's face was still very pale. Moreover, his body seemed to be even weaker than a few days ago. Alas, he was already depressed. These clansmen had been constantly telling him about the achievements of Leng Ruoxue and the others in the past few days, making him even angrier. Chapter 823, The Sun Family in Deep Fire, 5. Patriarch, we can't let Leng Ruoxue and the others continue. We have to think of a way. Otherwise, if this continues, there will be no one in the Sun family's main residence, an elder said. These few days, because of Leng Ruoxue and the others, the clansmen who could find an excuse to move out would rather spend money to stay in a guest shop in the city than stay in the main residence. Alas. Thinking of this, he was extremely depressed. Do you have any good ideas? Sun Sheng couldn't help asking. Patriarch, we discussed whether we can change places for Leng Ruoxue and the others. I heard from the sixth elder that they originally planned to stay in the guest shop. This elder asked carefully. No, Leng Ruoxue is too cunning. They'll be even more worried if they stay outside. Sun Xing was helpless. He had promised that person to leave Leng Ruoxue in the Sun family. What if they slipped away if they moved to a guest shop? Then what should we do? The elders had bitter expressions. They knew very well why the patriarch was so persistent, but they really couldn't bear it. If they weren't elders of the Sun family, to be honest, they also wanted to move out. Persevere for a few days. Didn't I tell you to hide from them? Sun Xing sighed. Alas. Wasn't he also enduring it? Yes, patriarch, rest well. Well, leave first. The elders had long guessed that the patriarch would not agree, so there was no need to disturb the patriarch's rest since they knew the result. Snow Garden. Leng Ruoxue and the others were sitting in the garden chatting. Leng Ruoxue's mood was also affected by the happy expressions on Feng De and the others' faces. Miss, you don't know. The Sun family has been tormented badly by us these few days. The Sun family is like a mouse that saw a cat when they see us. They slip away quickly. Feng De said with joy. However, no matter how fast they are not as fast as us. Therefore, they can only obediently let us ravage them. Lin Yuan added. How strange. You've been causing trouble for a few days. Why didn't anyone from the Sun family come out to manage it? Could it be that the patriarch and elders are just decorations? Leng Ruoxue was puzzled. Or did the Sun family have another scheme? Why doesn't anyone care? Didn't someone stand out 2 days ago? However, after being beaten up by us, the number of people who dare to stand out is decreasing. There aren't any now, Feng De shrugged and said very innocently. The people in the vast heaven continent didn't have a high evaluation of the Sun family. They said that the Sun family was domineering, arrogant, and unreasonable. However, Feng De didn't see these qualities that outsiders said. Instead, he felt that the Sun family was very easy to bully. The Sun family's behavior is very abnormal, Leng Ruoxue said with certainty. In the beginning, the Sun family wanted to take her down a notch. However, after Feng De and the others caused a commotion, they became cowards. This was very abnormal, and it didn't match the domineering character of the Sun family. Shuang, don't think too much. It's certain that the Sun family has concerns about you. As for why, I'm afraid we can only wait for the Sun family to explain it to us, Empty said understandingly. Yes, that makes sense. Leng Ruoxue nodded. You're all here. Suddenly, Sun Teng's voice interrupted. Leng Ruoxue looked up and saw Sun Teng walking into the garden. Moreover, he didn't come alone. There was a young man beside him who looked a little familiar. Is young Master Sun here to denounce us? Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. Don't worry, I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. Sun Teng smiled helplessly. Alas. He didn't expect Leng Ruoxue and the others to be so noisy. Everyone in the Sun family was in danger now. Moreover, the clansmen were in deep trouble every day, and the timid ones didn't even dare to leave the house. It's okay even if young Master Sun is here to denounce me. I even dare to beat up the Leng family, let alone the Sun family. Leng Ruoxue said disapprovingly. I know. Sun Teng smiled bitterly. If anyone else said the same thing to him, he would think that it was a provocation. However, the person who said this now was Leng Ruoxue, so he knew that what the girl in front of him said was the truth. He's my cousin, Su Qian. Sun Teng introduced the person beside him awkwardly. Miss Leng, long time no see. Su Qian looked at Leng Ruoxue in amazement and greeted her. Speaking of which, he had not seen Leng Ruoxue for a few years. It was mainly because he had not been able to find the whereabouts of the beauty. This time, he realized that Leng Ruoxue was more beautiful than he remembered. You know each other? Sun Teng was a little surprised. We've met a few times, Su Qian said hurriedly. Several times? Leng Ruoxue looked at Su Qian thoughtfully. No wonder she found this man a little familiar. So he knew that she was from the Su family's young master of the Ling Feng continent. However, if she remembered correctly, she should have only seen this man once. But how many times did he say? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help being wary as she looked at the smiling but slightly gloomy Su Qian in front of her. No matter what this man's goal was, there was no need for her to be afraid with her current strength. However, what surprised her was that Sun Teng and this young master of the Su family were actually cousins. Could she say that this world was very small? What a coincidence! I've met Miss Leng a few times, Sun Teng said with a faint smile. In fact, he was really not familiar with Leng Ruoxue and the others, but he admired them very much. Yes, I wonder why the two of you are looking for me? Is young Master Su here to avenge Miss Su? Leng Ruoxue teased with a light smile. Of course not. My sister has always been unruly. It's only right for Miss Leng to teach her a lesson. I just heard from my cousin that you live here, so I came to greet you, Su Qian hurriedly explained. Oh, thank you, young Master Su, Leng Ruoxue said lightly and then turned her gaze to Sun Teng. These few days, Feng De and the others had caused a huge commotion in the Sun family. Even though Sun Teng said that he wasn't here to denounce them, he probably didn't visit for no reason. Can you show mercy? Sun Teng said helplessly, feeling extremely uncomfortable under Leng Ruoxue's scrutinizing gaze. Alas, he couldn't be bothered with the Sun family's affairs if his mother didn't beg him. Chapter 824, Accident. Pure Accident, 1. What if I say no? Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. Sun Teng gave her a good impression. Unfortunately, he was from the Sun family, so it was destined that they wouldn't be friends. Moreover, she came to the Sun family for, "Can't you give me some face?" Sun Teng said with a bitter smile. No, we don't have any relationship with you, the young master of the Sun family. Why should we give you face? Before Leng Ruoxue could say anything, the freak spoke first. Let him be the bad guy. Sun Teng was speechless. This was a little too direct. Are you jealous of my cousin? Su Qian said self-righteously. Does this have anything to do with you? The freak narrowed his eyes and said in an unfriendly tone. Where did this clown come from? Did he look like he was jealous of Sun Teng? In his eyes, Sun Teng was just a passerby. If he was even jealous of such a thing, wouldn't he have long been drowned in jealousy? Sun Teng is my cousin, and we are all Miss Leng's friends, Su Qian said provocatively. Friend? What a joke. Schwerer isn't friends with just anyone. The freak's handsome face was full of mockery. What do you mean? Am I not qualified to be Miss Leng's friend with my cousin's status? Su Qian roared with jealousy. Please keep reading on MIB0XN0VIL, D0T, C0M. I don't care about my status when making friends. Moreover, you guys are indeed not my friends, but he is my fiancé. Leng Ruoxue's tone was a little cold, then she pointed at the freak. Young Master Su, did you hear that? The freak was a little proud. He knew that Schwer wouldn't side with outsiders. I'm sorry. I was thinking too much. Su Qian glared at the freak for a while before saying resentfully. Leng Ruoxue became even more wary of him after hearing Su Qian's words. A man who could give and take couldn't be underestimated, especially when she wasn't very polite with the freak. The fact that the young master of the Su family could compromise showed that this man was very scheming. Miss Leng, I'll bring you to Sunzhou City for a walk tomorrow. There are many places worth going to in this city. Wouldn't we have come for nothing if we don't take a look? Sun Teng changed the topic seeing that the atmosphere was a little gloomy. No need. I prefer to stay in the Sun family, Leng Ruoxue refused bluntly. There's nothing fun about the Sun family, Sun Teng said with 2 drops of cold sweat on his forehead. Who said not? The elders and clansmen of the Sun family are quite interesting, Leng Ruoxue said with a naughty smile. Sun Teng broke out in cold sweat. It had been a few days. Had these people not had enough fun yet? If they played with them for a few more days, the elders of the Sun family would probably run away. However, he admired their methods. They actually scared the bunch of fellows from the Sun family who ate people without spitting out their bones. Alas, this was also skill. At least he couldn't do it. My subordinates and like the Sun family very much and can't bear to leave them. By the way, tell them that I drugged them, so we can find them no matter where they hide. However, I quite like playing hide and seek. Let them hide for a few days, Leng Ruoxue said to herself. Of course, she was just scaring them. However, Sun Teng's cold sweat dripped down. If we find them, they will be able to bear it, Fengde added very cooperatively. As soon as Fengde finished speaking, he heard a plop, plop, fall from outside the garden. Immediately after, extremely frantic footsteps sounded. What's that sound? Fengde pretended to be stupid. Then she deliberately looked around. Young Master Sun, the security of the Sun family doesn't seem to be good. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. What she implied was that she wanted to tell him to increase the security. Well, I think so. Sun Ting really didn't know what to say. Alas. He knew who was eavesdropping outside without thinking, but he could only pretend. I heard that the Sun family's patriarch is sick? Leng Ruoxue suddenly asked. Yes, it's not very serious. Sun Ting nodded. Then young Master Sun has to pay more attention to public security. Otherwise, if bad people break into the Sun family, wouldn't they disturb the Sun family's patriarch's recuperation? Leng Ruoxue reminded with great concern. Okay, he'll take note. Sun Ting nodded. In fact, what he wanted to say was that his father's illness would probably have been cured long ago as long as you and your subordinates didn't cause too much trouble. However, he didn't dare to say it. Alas. He was also a little afraid of Leng Ruoxue. Young Master Sun, actually, I know how to treat illnesses. Why don't I treat the master of the Sun family? Leng Ruoxue continued. Thank you. My father's illness isn't serious. He just needs to rest quietly, so I want trouble, Miss Leng. Sun Ting refused politely. What a joke. If Leng Ruoxue treated his father, wouldn't the gains not make up for the losses if something happened to his father because of their disagreement? Moreover, he didn't think his father would be willing to let Leng Ruoxue treat him. All right then. If young Master's son needs me to treat the Sun family head, remember to look for me anytime, Leng Ruoxue said. By the way, I'll go see the Sun family's patriarch personally tomorrow. Or guess. How can we not show ourselves when the master is sick? Leng Ruoxue added. Miss Leng, I appreciate your kind intentions, but there's really no need, Sun Teng said hurriedly in fright. No, I must go. Please tell the next generation patriarch that I'll visit him tomorrow. Leng Ruoxue was very determined. Moreover, it seemed like she had to go. Miss Leng, the patients all have bad tempers, so, Sun Teng said very tactfully and left half a sentence behind. However, he believed Leng Ruoxue would understand what he meant. Leng Ruoxue naturally understood what he meant, but she still pretended to be stupid and said, I understand. The patient is the most important, I won't be calculative with the Sun family's patriarch. Sun Ting really wanted to cry. He really couldn't think of any reason to refuse Leng Ruoxue's insistence. Moreover, he couldn't say that my father didn't want to see you and didn't welcome you. Alas. Now, he could only pray in his heart. Father, take care. Chapter 825, Accident. Pure Accident 2. Young Master Sun, it's settled. I have to rest early today. Help yourselves. Leng Ruoxue pulled the freak into the room without looking back. Young Master Sun, take care. I won't see you out, Fengde said politely and then returned to his room like Leng Ruoxue. The others returned to their rooms without even greeting him. Cousin, what should we do now? Su Qian couldn't help asking angrily when he saw that only Sun Teng and him were left in the lively garden just now. Let's go back. Sun Teng sighed and then left the snow garden directly. The next morning, Leng Ruoxue and the others had just finished breakfast when Fengde said impatiently, Miss, when are we going to see Sun Xing? What's the hurry? Fengde, you have to know psychological warfare. Sun Xing should already know that we will visit him today. Do you think he will welcome us? Leng Ruoxue asked with a smile. Definitely not, Fengde said. Please keep reading on MIB0XN0VIL, D0T, C0M. Yes, so he's either anxiously waiting for us to go quickly, or he's even more ill, or he might be thinking of ways to deal with us. In short, anything is possible. However, we can't be anxious. Leng Ruoxue analyzed. When are we going? Fengde was curious. We'll go after dinner, Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. Miss, you're so bad. You purely wanted to make him wait in fear for a day for nothing. Fengde said with a naughty smile. Fengde, rest for a day today. Give the Sun family a breather too. Leng Ruoxue insisted that she was kind. Yes, we'll play in the snow garden today, Fengde said understandably. Just like that, Leng Ruoxue and the others stayed in the snow garden for the entire day. However, the Sun family had always been on high alert, especially the eldest madam of the Sun family's yard. Not only was it filled with guards, but there were also dozens of elders guarding the room. However, even so, Sun Sheng still felt uneasy. However, Leng Ruoxue actually didn't appear after being nervous for nearly a day. As the sky gradually darkened, Sun Sheng and the others had just let down their guard when a guard came to report that Leng Ruoxue and the others had come to see him. This couldn't help making Sun Sheng almost vomit blood from anger. Damn! They had waited respectfully for the entire day and didn't even have time to eat, but no one came. It was already night, and they had just relaxed and were about to eat something when they came. Wasn't this deliberately playing with them? It was really too despicable. However, even though he was angry, he still had to let Leng Ruoxue and the others in. Boo! He really had no status as the patriarch. He actually had to look at the guests' expressions. Leng Ruoxue and the others swaggered into the eldest madam's room and ignored the elders in the room. They each found a place to sit. I heard that the Sun family's patriarch is ill, so we specially came to ask about him. Leng Ruoxue looked at Sun Sheng, who was lying on the bed with a pale face and a weak body, and said lightly, Miss Leng, you're so kind, Sun Sheng said weakly on purpose. He thought, I'm already so sick. Don't tell me you're angry at me. Alas. He had a deep understanding of Leng Ruoxue's ability to anger people, so he was really a little afraid. Patriarch's son, you look very weak. Could it be that you've indulged yourself too much? I've reminded you long ago to take care of your body. Alas. Loyalty is unpleasant to the ears. Leng Ruoxue said with a resentful expression, her beautiful face still full of pity. Miss Leng, you're mistaken. I'm just not feeling well. It has nothing to do with indulgence, Sun Sheng said through gritted teeth. However, his heart was bleeding nonstop. Boo! What kind of person was this? He was already sick, but he specially came over to anger him and spoke with a caring tone. However, the words he said made people want to vomit blood. There has to be a reason for your discomfort. I know that the Sun family are all women, so I won't laugh at you even if you're overindulgent. However, it's better to control yourself. Otherwise, the unlucky one will be yourself. As for concubines, they're just fleeting clouds. Don't worry too much, Leng Ruoxue advised like an elder. Miss Leng, that's really not the reason. Sun Sheng suppressed his anger with a black face. Oh, could it be that the Sun family head has some incurable disease? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. That won't be easy to handle, Leng Ruoxue added to herself. Miss Leng, how can you curse my family's patriarch? Sun Sheng was so angry that he couldn't say anything, but an elder couldn't help but interrupt. Curse? Did I say anything? Leng Ruoxue said innocently. Patriarch's son, I'm just concerned about your condition. This old man actually wronged me. Boo-hoo, Leng Ruoxue said aggrievedly, tears rolling in her beautiful eyes. You, the unknown elder pointed at Leng Ruoxue and was so angry that his entire body trembled. He was unable to even speak. How dare you bully my young miss? Stinky old man, are you tired of living? Fengde roared. Everyone immediately swarmed forward and beat up the old man painfully. Their speed was so fast that it was speechless. Moreover, by the time the elders in the room reacted, Fengde and the others had already finished beating him up. They even patted the dust off their bodies as if nothing had happened and then sat back down. Fengde and the others' well-trained actions dumbfounded Sun Sheng and the others. The unlucky old man fainted before he could even call for help. Miss Leng, Your subordinates are really too much. They actually beat up an elder of the Sun family in front of me. Sun Xing was furious. That was Mystic Sovereign. He was actually knocked out by them in a few moves. When did Mystic Sovereign become so weak? Patriarch's son, I'm sorry. My subordinate is also anxious to protect my master. However, that old man is still alive, don't worry. Leng Ruoxue didn't show any guilt on her face and said matter-of-factly, Miss Leng, do you mean that the ninth elder asked for it? Sun Xing was angry. Patriarch's son, how can you misunderstand what I mean? I only said that my subordinates were anxious to protect their master. I didn't say that the old man asked for it. Leng Ruoxue quibbled. Chapter 826, Accident. Pure Accident. 3. Miss Leng, according to you, can I understand that my subordinates can also protect their master if someone bullies me? Sun Xing said with a face full of calculations. Yes, that's necessary. If a subordinate can remain indifferent when he sees his master being bullied, then it's fine to not have such a subordinate, Leng Ruoxue agreed. Did you hear Miss Leng? Sun Xing glared at the elders in the room. Yes, the elders said in unison. However, they didn't understand what Sun Xing meant. Could it be that the patriarch wanted them to attack Leng Ruoxue? Thinking of this, they simultaneously glanced at Feng Da and the others. However, when they saw the unfriendly expressions of Feng Da and the others, their hearts couldn't help trembling. Boo! These barbarians! Does the Sun family head want them to beat me up? Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Cheng Wu, spar with these elders. You can't see them usually. Leng Ruoxue ordered Cheng Wu and the others directly without waiting for Sun Xing to answer. Okay, Mississippi. Cheng Wu smiled evilly and nodded. Then he went directly to an elder. Let's play. Cheng Wu pointed at the trembling old man in front of him. I don't want to play with you. The old man stammered. Boo! Why did this fellow look for him? He wanted to pretend to faint if he didn't consider his face. You have to play even if you don't want to. Cheng Wu roared. Then he grabbed the old man's collar and slapped the old man in front of Sun Xing. After a few slaps, blood flowed out of the old man's mouth, and the teeth in his mouth fought to escape from his home. Boo! Barbarian! The old man's hair was disheveled as he cried incoherently. Barbarian? Today, I'll let you know what a barbarian is. Cheng Wu smiled viciously, but his hands moved even faster. Slap, slap, slap. He slapped dozens of times consecutively. The unlucky old man had already been beaten dizzy and his face was swollen like a pig's head. However, no one dared to speak up for him, including Sun Xing. Cheng Wu, find someone else. Leng Ruoxue kindly stopped the old man when she saw that he had fainted. However, her words made the other elders in the room gnash their teeth in hatred. Boo! Demon! Their Sun family had always been domineering. However, they only knew today that compared to Leng Ruoxue and the others, they couldn't even compare to their little fingers. As the saying goes, the cowardly are afraid of being unreasonable, the unreasonable are afraid of the strong, the hard are afraid of the suicidal. The Sun family was a classic example of bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Moreover, their ancestors had a better foundation, so the Sun family was really used to being arrogant. In addition, the status of the three great superfamilies of the Sun family had always been irreplaceable. Therefore, they had always felt good about themselves. But now, they had encountered Leng Ruoxue, who was fearless, so it was naturally a tragedy. However, what caused them to be even more depressed was that the group of people under Leng Ruoxue didn't care about any rules when fighting, nor did they use any techniques. It was purely physical attacks, and this caused them who were used to using techniques to really want to cry, because they didn't give them the chance to utilize techniques at all. In terms of fists, they were nothing. In short, they were destined to be unlucky to meet Leng Ruoxue. After hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Cheng Wu released the elder that he had been holding in his hand. Then he turned his gaze to the other elders and even Sun Xing. However, All the elders who were swept by his sinister gaze wished that there was a hole in the ground for them to burrow into. The elders who were about to be noticed by him were also trying their best to reduce their presence, afraid that they would become the next unlucky person. It's you. Looking at your shifty eyes, you're definitely not a good person. Cheng Wu searched for a moment and found another old man. Ooh, you can't judge a book by its cover. I'm very good. I'm a good person. The old man cried until his nose was snotty and tears were flowing down his face. He was just short of kneeling down and begging for mercy. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but he was held in Cheng Wu's hand and couldn't move at all. Good person? Is there a good person in the Sun family? The Sun family has always bullied men and bullied women. This is known by everyone in the boundless heaven continent. Furthermore, this old man judged people by their appearance. What? Bite me! Cheng Wu roared loudly. Then he punched the old man unceremoniously. Ah! The old man covered his eyes and cried out in pain. Scream! They'll let you scream. Cheng Wu punched again. Ah! The old man sustained black eyes. I'll let you scream. Cheng Wu's fist brought with it a strong wind as it punched directly at the old man's mouth. Ooh! The old man couldn't shout anymore. Blood flowed out of his mouth, and his teeth fell one after another. Big brother Cheng, take a break. Let me play for a while. Song Di said with itching hands. Okay. Cheng Wu handed the old man in his hand to Song Di and then retreated to the side to be an audience. However, his gloomy and bloodthirsty eyes were like a venomous snake as he stared at the other elders in the room, causing their bodies to turn cold with fear. Old man, don't be afraid. I've always respected the old and loved the young. Song Di looked at the trembling Sun family elder in his hand and hurriedly comforted him. Ooh! The old man's eyes were filled with tears as he shook his head anxiously. If he could say the complete sentence, he would definitely say, only a ghost would believe you. Brother Song, you can try the 10 new tortures we developed. Fong De reminded. And that makes sense. Song Di nodded. Then, he took out a small saber that was shaped like a willow leaf and as thin as a cicada's wing from his ring. Even though the saber was small, the saber tip emitted a terrifying cold aura. One look at the saber and one could tell that it was extraordinary. Old man, this is the first time I'm using this saber. Don't blame me if my strength is uneven. Song Di said with some hesitation. Then, he held a bright knife and started gesturing on the old man's body. However, before he could really do it, the old man was so scared that he peed his pants. Chapter 827, Accident. Pure accident, for, damn. You're so old, why are you still wetting your pants? Song Di threw the old man in his hand away with a face full of disdain and then covered his nose to hide far away. However, his gaze landed on the other Sun family elder. This old man was considered an acquaintance of theirs because this person was none other than the 6th elder who brought them to the Sun family. The 6th elder, who was hiding in the middle of the elders and didn't want to be too obvious, trembled like a leaf in the wind after sensing Song Di's gaze. Ooh! Why were they looking at him? Don't look at him. He kept praying in his heart. Unfortunately, the heavens didn't hear his thoughts. Soon, 6th elder was dragged out like a chicken by Song Di. Song Di, don't be like this. We can be considered acquaintances, right? 6th elder tried to worm his way in. Yes, 6th elder is right. I just want to repay the 6th elder for taking care of us on the way, so don't be afraid. Song Di comforted before flashing the dagger in his hand. No, there's no need to repay me. Really, the 6th elder said with a long face. Ooh, what kind of people were these? How could they repay others like this? No, Miss often warns us to repay favors. Moreover, I also want the other elders to know that we will definitely be on the same side. We won't be biased even if 6th elder is someone we know. Song Di was very upright and stubborn. Oh! The 6th elder's old tears were about to fall. He couldn't express anything more. 6th elder, don't be agitated. My young miss is most principled, Song Di said with a naughty smile. Then, A cold light flashed in his hand. Swish, swish, swish. The small saber of the willow leaf kept swimming on the sixth elder's body, shining with cold light. In just a few minutes, the sixth elder's clothes had become strips that hung loosely on his body, and he was in danger of falling at any time. However, Songdi's technique was good, so he absolutely didn't injure the sixth elder's skin and flesh. However, it had already caused a huge effect on the sixth elder's heart because the sixth elder was already a little dumbfounded. Other than standing there in a daze, he didn't react at all. Sixth elder! Songdi shouted into sixth elder's ear. The sixth elder didn't react. Sixth elder! Songdi roared again. The sixth elder still didn't react. Seeing this, Songdi lost his patience. He threw the sixth elder on the ground and casually pulled an elder over to continue practicing his saber techniques. With a cold flash, the Sun family elder, who was used as a practice tool, screamed like a pig being slaughtered, making everyone's eardrums hurt. Shut up! I'll chop you up if you continue calling me that. Songdi roared angrily. Boo! The Sun family elder was very aggrieved. He wanted to cry but didn't dare to, and he didn't dare to shout even more. The only feeling he had was that the cold dagger kept swimming on his body and left countless small wounds. Boo! With the sixth elder's previous lesson, he was actually mentally prepared. However, just as he thought that he would be like the sixth elder, his clothes were not the only thing that was cut open, but his flesh was also cut. I said that I'm a newbie and will weigh the pros and cons, can't you bear with it? Songdi accused with dissatisfaction, his face full of contempt for the elder. It hurts. That elder said softly with tears in his eyes. Just bear with it. Don't affect my mood. Otherwise, it won't be just a superficial wound, Songdi threatened. Oh! That elder bit his lower lip with tears in his eyes. His face was full of grievance, but he didn't dare to make a sound. That's good. Songdi was very satisfied with this Sun family elder's cooperation. Swish, swish, swish. The saber tip danced up and down, and the expression on Songdi's face became more and more joyful. After a while, Songdi finally had enough. He threw the old man on the ground and clapped his hands before sitting back down. You are too much. Sun Sheng, who was lying on the bed, was so angry that his body was trembling. He pointed at Leng Ruoxue and the others for a while before saying this. Patriarch's son, you should recuperate in peace. During your recuperation, I will watch over these elders for you. I guarantee that they won't have the intention of usurping the throne, Leng Ruoxue promised seriously. Sun Sheng's chest was extremely stuffy. At the same time, he felt a metallic taste rush up his throat. However, he forcefully suppressed it. He couldn't let his breath slip in front of a little girl. Patriarch's son, don't vomit blood. You have to take care of your body. I'll look after these elders for you first. You don't have to thank me. If you want to be grateful, just pay a little, Leng Ruoxue said angrily, the words "I'm doing this for your own good" still written on her face. Fengde, bring these elders back to the snow garden and take good care of them. Let them out after Patriarch's son recovers. Leng Ruoxue didn't give Sun Sheng a chance to speak and instructed Fengde and the others. Yes, Fengde and the others answered hurriedly. Then they left the eldest madam's room arrogantly with the elders with long faces. Patriarch's son, I'll take my leave too. I'll visit you when I have time. Leng Ruoxue said to herself and then pulled the freak away. After Leng Ruoxue and the others left, Sun Sheng couldn't help but vomit a mouthful of blood. Patriarch! The eldest madam, who had been standing beside him, wiped the blood off Sun Sheng's lips with a handkerchief. Alas! She really didn't know how to comfort her husband because Leng Ruoxue's actions made her a little afraid. She had lived for decades but had never seen a woman with such a terrifying aura. Even the mistress of the Leng family, Leng Shuang, couldn't compare to Leng Ruoxue. What should she do? It was absolutely impossible to deal with Leng Ruoxue with the current people of the Sun family. Madam, bring me to the secret room. Sun Shengqiang forced himself to stand up. No, he couldn't wait anymore. If this continued, the Sun family would be implicated by Leng Ruoxue, so he had to ask when that person would return. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.